Hi, folks. Welcome. This is Admiral's Academia. Teaching 101 is the class we're doing today. I'm Admiral Ann Cash. Most folks just call me Admiral. If you can see me and you can hear me okay, please feel free to spam whatever you would like into chat, whether that be a hi, hello, or an emoji of your choice, perhaps. Go ahead and put something in there. Oh, wonderful. Good to see you all here. Fantastic. Okay, standard housekeeping. Feel free to ask questions throughout this class at any point. Please tag me in any of the questions that you have here in chat, just so that I can find it a little bit better, just in case folks end up having a conversation with each other going through, which is also totally fine and encouraged. Go, talk all you like in there. I always really enjoy reading everything y'all have. But definitely helpful to tag me so that I can find all those questions so I don't miss any. Okay, other than that, also feel free to sign in on our Nine Blades Kingdom Discord for a credit for today. This is part of the featured park night, and credits are going to Twilight Peak. So feel free to sign in if you are attending this class. Okay, other than that, I think we can get started. So throughout this class, I'll be going through section by section at every end. Every time we stop at a section, I will open up for any questions. If you need anything repeated or explained or whatever the case might be, or if you have any questions further than anything I've covered in that section, feel free to pop in and give me those questions then. I will have a general just Q&A section at the end, so if there's still any questions, also if you are doing any sort of teaching currently or are looking to teach in the future and you have any concerns or are looking for any tips and advice, if you want to brainstorm through anything, that's going to be a really good time to ask those questions. I'll be here for that. So, yeah, let's get into it. Okay, so, when teaching a class, what can be very helpful to students is making sure that your class is well organized and it is in a clear format that they can follow. So for this, I'm going to basically show an example of that by ordering this class into your super basic who, what, when, where, why, and how. So that's going to be the whole entire class. I'm going to go through who, what, when, where, why, and how, and end it with a do section and a don't section, and then Q&A. So that will be the whole entire thing. And starting off, we have slides. Yay, slides. Which I will explain the importance of that later on. So, handy dandy new slides. Whoop, there it is. Okay, so start off. Who? Most people think, oh, teacher. But there are roles. So it's going to be important to know all the different roles that are involved here. So, the organizer. So this could be you. For a case like this class, I am the organizer of this class because it's mine. I've set when the date is, the time, what the topic is, all of that. For this case, I am the organizer. That's not always the case, though. If you are teaching at an event, if there is an autocrat that is asking you to teach at their event, or maybe a regent wants you to do a class at their ANS night or something of that manner, then they are the organizer. So that. From that, you have the teacher. So right here, in this case, I will be the teacher for this course. Now, there may be more than one teacher. If you are doing an event where there are multiple classes, there might be multiple teachers. An important thing to note for that, and also sort of an interaction thing you're going to want to note for working with an organizer, is knowing what the other teachers are teaching. That way you can prevent double up of classes and content and material. You don't want 5 people all doing a basic lesson on short swords, if that's the only classes that are available for the whole thing, you have 5 people teaching the same exact thing. It's not going to be the most entertaining, fulfilling event that it could be. So, you have your organizer, you have your teacher. Also, to note, it is also possible to do classes where you do have a partner that is also teaching with you. And I'm going to explain sort of the dynamic of how that works later on as well. So, you have your organizer, you have your teacher or teachers, and then you have the students. The students are critical to this, because that's what we're all here for. The teacher does not have a point and purpose if there are no students to teach to. So everything that we do as teachers is for the students, so it is extremely important to keep in mind that whatever you're doing, you are having the students in mind. Think of it like who your audience is, right? You're going to gear a lot of your content and the way that you're teaching based on who your students will be. If you are teaching a class for super vets versus first day new players of this game, you're going to teach in a bit of a different manner. Also, right, if you're teaching in a mundane sense, right, if you are teaching at a nursing home, doing like a lesson for them versus teaching at a daycare, again, super drastic teaching styles. Just even how you're going to talk and carry yourself will be drastically different. So, but I will try to focus on Amp for this particular class. So, that's your who. Next slide. Oh, sorry. If anyone has any questions on the who, feel free. Also, already forgot right off the top of my head. There is a 20-second delay. So, anytime that you do put anything into chat, there will be a 20-second delay. So I will see it as soon as that is done, and then we'll get to those questions as we go. Good stuff. Okay, so I'm going to move on to the next section. If you do have any questions on who, go ahead and type those in. But for the most part, I think it's self-explanatory. We can go to the next slide. There we go. What is this? Okay. So you're gonna want to know the format of what you're teaching. This is going to be very important because it also has to do with what you're advertising as well. So first and foremost, we are in a very drastically different situation than we normally are in terms of teaching things. So we're going to quickly go over the online versus in-person teaching stuff. So the main form of how we normally do teaching in AmpGuard is in person. That has been, for as long as this game has existed, to the best of my knowledge, the main format. So often you see these sorts of lessons happening at events or at park days, things of that nature. Given our current circumstance in the world, that is not possible for, I want to say, 99% of our cases. So currently, we've moved all of our teaching online. So, which is what we're doing here. So, there's very, very different feels to it. I'm going to say it's quite drastic, not being able to see your audience, not being able to hear them. Now, there's other formats where you can hear and see them, but not all of them do. And additionally, you're also, like, if you're doing something like Zoom, it doesn't mean that folks will have their mic on or their camera on. Same thing with, like, Discord and anything like that, anything where you have that opportunity. So it's going to be a different feel, how you're going to perform in front of the camera, how you're going to talk. It does take some time to get used to, and it can be very scary and intimidating, and it's okay. It definitely gets better with time. I can definitely tell you that. I'm very used to doing these types of classes in person. I am a very kinetic learner myself, which I'll explain what that is later. So it's very strange to do this in a kind of a lecture only basis, except for now slides. So time helps. But also the cool thing about this is that some folks do not feel comfortable in front of big crowds. So being able to just talk to a mic or a camera and not have everyone else around you, it can actually open up more opportunities for teachers that are less comfortable in that venue. So that's also a thing. There's also kind of two biggies when dealing with online classes. You have kind of your live stream, which is what we're doing here. But you don't have to do it that way either. You can do classes where you film them. You can have a sort of script with you. You can go each section by section. You can do retakes. So if you do something and you totally flub it and it's super awkward and uncomfortable and you're like, oh no, that was terrible. Maybe you have a cat and the cat knocks down something in the middle of a take and all of a sudden just mass hysteria and hilarity too. But that's all of a sudden a take that you don't necessarily want folks to see. You can cut that right out. So there's all sorts of manners of how to do editing and things like that. But that would be a topic for a whole nother class. So I'm not going to get too far into that. But just know that there are options. There are different options. So I'm quickly going to go over the different forms and types and briefly just how those kind of fit and the little differences that you want to note for in-person or online for those. So your Q&A, AMA panel sort of thing, those tend to be also, sorry, AMAs are Ask Me Anything. I found out recently that is not known to everyone. So be sure that your audience knows what an AMA is if you are publicizing your class as an AMA. Or they might not show up because they might not know what it is. So that's a big one. I created Knight's AMA, if you didn't know that, and that was what I learned. A lot of folks did not know what an AMA was, so they're like, so I can tell this has to do with Knights, but I don't know what the Knights are doing there. So that was a learning experience. It's now becoming more known, so that is helpful, but just be aware that there can be an age gap sort of thing in the recognizability of some of these terms. So just, again, know your audience if you know that you're going to have folks that are not hip to some, lingo, then be sure just to sort of explain it at some point. Okay. Sort of things to note with the Q&A and AMA panel sort of style. Panels tend to have multiple individuals, so it wouldn't just be a one-person thing, though it can be. Panels usually have somebody that is regulating the questions, so there's usually somebody that will toss the questions to the panelists, and then they will answer them. For Q&A and AMA styles, it's usually solo. Can be multiple people, but is usually solo. And those can be done in live questions or pre-given questions. I will note a tip for that, however, is make sure that you have questions ahead of time. And if folks don't give you questions, give yourself questions. There will be a significant amount of dead air. There will be a whole bunch of time where you're just waiting and hoping somebody throws you a question, and they won't. There will also be times where they'll start just throwing out questions because they feel so bad that you're just kind of sitting there in that super awkward silence, and they'll just be like, oh god, somebody, here, answer this. I don't need to know this. I already know the answer, but please just just say something. This is super uncomfortable. Be careful for any moments of that dead air, because it can get really, really uncomfortable for the person that's doing it. I've been there myself 100% when I first started. It can be super uncomfortable. Any way we could get a time check, please and thanks. The current time is 8:22. There is no max point on this class. Sorry if if you have a very specific question, Vale, could you let me know? Because I'm not sure. Not sure if there was something you were requesting specifically for that. So sorry. Okay, so yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah. So right, dead air can be a really uncomfortable thing. But yeah, so what you can do is, especially if you are the person that's going to be tossing questions to a panel, but again, right, if you're doing things for yourself, make sure that you have a set of questions. Go onto forums and things ahead of time, and you can put out surveys, you can put out just regular posts and ask for folks to give you questions. Otherwise, pick out questions for yourself. Pick things where you think there's going to be information that folks could benefit from. Things that you hope somebody would ask you. Just give yourself that question. That sort of insider tip is that your audience won't know that you did not get those questions. They will think that somebody gave you those questions, because they're not like, they would not instantly think that you gave yourself questions. So that's a inside tip. It's also going to be very, very important that if you are doing an AMA or Q&A, that sort of thing, do not call it a class or a lecture. That's very important that you advertise it for what it is. If you're doing those and you say that it's a class, folks are going to expect to not have to do any work, that they're going to just sit and learn stuff. If they go in, then realize that they have to ask all the questions, that there won't be any information unless somebody asks for a thing specifically, that's going to be a bit of an uncomfortable situation. And all of a sudden, like, psychologically speaking, it will throw them off, and then they might not want to attend things in the future, going, I wasn't hoping for this, but okay, if that's what these are, then maybe I won't do these anymore, right? So you just want to be careful with just what you're calling things, just to be super clear about the format of what you're doing, because it's important for expectations to be met. So that's just a quick thing on that. So the next words. Tip: if you're going too fast, take a beat, slow down. Realize that adrenaline and all sorts of excitement in things will make you talk faster. It will make you rush through things. So if you notice that you stumble on a word, that's a good moment to just take a breath. Take a moment. Realize that you're probably talking really fast. So that's actually a performance tip too. So anyone that likes theater, that. So lectures. Lectures is basically what we're doing here, except standard lectures, there isn't a back and forth, there isn't a open time for Q&A. It's usually just, I'm going to speak at you, and that's it. Go into later. There's other things that will be overlapping things. I'll be going into a whole bunch of stuff later on. It's so tempting. I just want to get everything out right here and now. But yeah, generally, lectures are just the instructor is talking to you. It's all usually just verbally done, or there might be some slides to assist, but generally speaking, they're just talking to you. Workshops. Folks will be expecting to be physically doing a thing. This is your standard A&S class where you will come out with an item at the end, right? You will have materials. They will teach you how to do a thing. You will physically do it. It is kinetic learning. You'll do a thing, and then you will leave with that item. So workshops, definitely don't call it a workshop if you aren't going to be doing anything where they're not physically doing a thing. Workshops can also be fighting based, right? You can end up doing drills and things like that. Workshops are usually a physical kinetic learning style. Sorry, there's a quick question. Would a lecture be a class then, in general format, of we just speak to them? Yeah, lectures can fit into the category of just a class. Classes can be a catch-all term for just a general thing that might fit into multiples of these things. You can also call a lecture a class. That's also perfectly fine. Lecture is just sort of the super standard, I'm going to be talking to you for a period of time phrase, essentially. Okay. So in our workshops, demos. Demo is more of a visual learning thing. That's going to be more of the, I'm going to show you how to do a thing. You're not going to be doing it too. You're just going to watch me do the thing. Oh gosh. Later on, I'm going to explain different learning styles and the VARC thing and how these specifically fit into the VARC method. So please know that I will be covering it. It's just going to come a little later. Okay, so those are your standard types of teaching, specifically that you're going to find in AmpGuard. There are different ways of doing it. There's different models. This is just your basic set. So again, you're going to want to figure out which one that you're doing, and when you're advertising and explaining the things that you're about to do, make sure that you're using the proper terms so that they know what they're getting into, and you're fulfilling any sort of expectations that your students might have. So now you know the format that you're doing it in. The topic is going to be the key thing here. What are you going to teach about? You can do something that is super, super specific, or you can do something that's more broad in general, right? I have done an anti-paladin class. That's very specific. That is that class. Though I did cover some, generalized things in it, it was specifically geared towards that class. I've also taught a melee class that was not class specific, which I covered a whole bunch of things that, I ended up covering in that class, but that didn't have any basis in any one particular melee class. It was something that was a broad category that could fit into any of those. So you can pick very specific or very general topics. Again, you just want to make sure that whatever you're doing, that you state the thing that you're doing, and that you fulfill the expectation of what you are announcing your class to be. One quick tip on topics. Topics can be difficult to choose at times, just because there is an infinite amount of things that you can teach. So essentially, when you get stuck, ask what people are interested in. That's how I'm teaching this class right now. I was supposed to be teaching a different class today, and I had prepped a different class, and I realized that I wasn't able to teach that class at that particular time due to a conflict, and all of a sudden I had to come up with another class topic, and it kind of threw me for a loop for a bit there, and I asked the folks at our featured park night, my wonderful kingdom, love you guys, and one of my kingdom mates, she suggested, this class. And yeah, it was something that I had thought about a while back of doing, but it wasn't in my lineup of like the next couple of classes that I've got down the road. So and I didn't really think that far into it, but yeah, I realized that, oh, this, yeah, it could actually be pretty good right now, just because there's so many classes coming out now, and a lot of folks are teaching for the first time. So it is my hope. Yeah, it was Vale. That was Vale. That was you. Thank you, Vale, by the way. But yeah, so it's usually good just to ask, see what folks are interested in. Other than that, sort of look around, see where there might be a need. If you notice that there is something that folks are struggling with, maybe you're at field one day and you find, wow, my team just is really not communicating well with each other. They're just not working well together. It just seems to be like a whole bunch of lone wolves going off and doing their thing. Maybe do a class on teamwork and communication, because even though they might not think of, asking for it, because they might not realize that there is a need for that, but then they'll be like, oh yeah, actually, now that I think of it, yeah, that could come in handy. So then, right, you look at your situations, you look around and see where there's a need, and then is that a class that you can fit, that you can fulfill? It's something that's in your wheelhouse, then go for it. So that. Does anyone have any questions on anything that we've covered so far? Who, what, online versus in person, stuff like that. Again, there's going to be the 20-second delay. I'm going to give a random quick tip as I'm waiting for the 20 seconds to pass. Important thing for an organizer, and generally anything having to deal with the coordination of other individuals when teaching. Factor in the ability to get the teacher to the students. If you are doing an online thing, whoop, there goes all of my feathers, because I have it on a hat pin that I didn't pin into my hat today, like a fool. Yeah, now you know the anatomy of my hat. All sorts of secrets in my hat today. There we go. There, secrets. And things just happen. Understand that things just happen. Let's up those downs. Okay, for anyone that knows the wrestling stuff. Secrets. Okay. Anywho. So make sure that whoever you are signing up to teach on a thing, if you're doing an online thing, that they have a camera, that they have a mic, that they have whatever app or program or whatever that you are doing your teaching on. If they do not have space on their phone to download an app, then they're not going to be able to teach the class, and that's going to be a problem. If you aren't able to do a tech test with them, if you aren't able to communicate with them, all of a sudden you might end up having somebody in line to teach, and then they tell you literally the day of, it's like, oh yeah, no, I don't have a camera. That does happen. So be cautious of that. When you're doing online or in-person stuff, factor in that the person has to travel to the event. They need to be able to sleep somewhere. They need to be able to eat and get back. So if you are able to, make sure that that's all figured out, because sometimes you will get somebody to teach and they will not think of getting that sort of thing situated till like the night before, and then realizing that's not a possibility, and then all of a sudden they cancel within a 24-hour period of the class, and then you have to find a new teacher that also is going to be able to attend and pull a class out of nowhere. So it is important that you think through how your teacher is getting there, but also how your students are getting there, making sure that it is an open thing that folks are going to be able to get to. So Okay, I think our 20 seconds have well passed, so since there are no questions, we will move on. Yep. New slide. Who, what, when. We are at when. Also, random quick little tip. No cards. No cards are wonderful. I keep all of my classes on note cards, and I color code everything. Fun, useful tip. Now I know that portion of my class is done. Whoop. Next card. When? Okay, so, again, seems pretty self-explanatory, but there's a couple things to keep in mind. If somebody has accepted you into their event to teach a class, they might tell you that you are teaching at an event. They might not tell you which day of the event that you are teaching. Be sure you know which day of the event you are teaching. Be sure that they have actually put it into the schedule, and that it is not going to be a thing where it will be a thing that they'll slide in randomly and just be like, hey, so we have some free time in the schedule. Are you cool to teach right now? That has happened. That has happened. I have ended up being that teacher before, where they did not schedule a thing, and it was basically like, we'll fit you in whenever there's just like a free time, just to fill the schedule. Yeah, but hi, welcome. No worries. Also, just a sort of a side note, this is being recorded, so if anyone that is coming in later on, you'll be able to watch anything you missed so far. So, and we'll go into a recording all that stuff later. Cover so many things. Just very eager. It's unfortunate I just can't get all the words out that quickly. Anyways, so, it's going to be very important that the communication is there, that you know exactly the date that you are doing it in, and which moves on to the time. It's going to be important that you know the time that you are doing it. It is going to be important that you are on schedule. Do not be late to your own class. Understand that Amp standard time is also a thing. So even though you might be ready for the class and you're all sorts of there and eager, your students might not be there when you are there and ready to start and your thing is set to start. For anyone that's ever, come to my classes before, I'm actually literally sitting here for about half an hour before classes, literally like this, just watching the time pass, because I will see that no one is on yet, and I don't want to just jump into a class before there's any viewers at all. So that is usually why I'll usually start 5 to 10 minutes after the start time, just to make sure that folks actually get a chance to get on. But it's important that you are ready for that time, and understand that folks might need more time to get there, which is perfectly understandable, and it's important as a teacher to be flexible and available for your students during those sorts of time periods. So, stuff. Okay, moving on. Time slots. It's going to be important to note if you have a cutoff time. Some situations you will have a big open amount of time, and they will give you complete utter free reign, and they'll just go, you just need to start at this point. No one's after you, so go, be free, do whatever you like, which is the greatest thing. Or you could be in a situation like me, where I pick my own days and times, and I have complete utter control of how long or short I do my classes, which is so wonderful as a teacher to not have to deal with that sort of constraint and restriction, because it opens up a lot more avenues of what I can teach, because I don't have a hard cutoff time. A lot of times when you do have a hard cutoff time, you're going to have a whole bunch of material that you're not going to be able to fit into those time periods. Also note, a lot of times time slots at events will usually be an hour to maybe like 2 hours max. So figure that's kind of your average time slot. So it could be an hour and a half to 2 hours. That tends to be the thing. You're not gonna see shorter than half an hour. That's not gonna be a thing. So understand that if you sign up for a thing, make sure that you can fill the time. You also don't want to be in a situation where you talk for 10 minutes and then you're like, well, that was my whole class. Got an hour and a half left to go. Right? You don't want to be in that situation either. So it's important to prepare for the time slot that you have. Also, if you do have a time, like a hard cutoff, it's important to practice ahead of time to make sure that you're able to fit in that time slot. One thing you can do while you're practicing, just talk, like write your notes out and talk it out loud to yourself if no one else is there. You can just literally just talk through it. See how long it takes you for just to say out loud the things on your note cards. If it takes you more than 3 hours to get through your note cards, figure your class is not going to fit in that 1 hour time slot. Right, and then you can make any sort of edits to be able to cut down, understand the things that you aren't going to be able to do. It's going to be important also just to be super flexible in those time slots because you are not going to be able to fit in everything that you want to teach, and there's going to be situations where like you'll have like a whole thing planned where it's like you were going to have them do an exercise, right? Where you were going to have them make a thing or plan a thing or do some sort of, activity, maybe like a group project, some kind of thing. And the whole thing gets cut, right? You spend a month prepping, getting all materials, and you're so like focused and dedicated into this idea that you're going to be doing this thing, and that's usually like the first thing that gets cut. You'll realize pretty quickly in that you're like, oh wow, okay, this is moving very quick, and all of a sudden you're going to lose half of your class right then and there. Yeah. Sorry, I just noticed Alana's thing. Yes. You will end up talking super duper fast. That is very true. Again, when you are doing anything in front of an audience, in front of others, your body will have a reaction, and it is called adrenaline. Adrenaline will make you move faster. They will talk faster. Anytime you're excited or nervous, you'll just start speeding up. It'll be just a thing that will happen. It is a normal, natural thing. But no, be hyper-conscious that is going to be a thing. It can be a benefit or a detriment depending on your situation. If you have a very small time frame that you can teach in, being able to talk quickly might actually oddly be a benefit to you. But if you don't have a great long amount of time to do your class, or you have to fill in a large amount of time for the class, and you're talking very fast, you will do all of your class 10 minutes, right? The whole thing's done because you sped through it so quickly, and all of a sudden now you're gonna struggle to fill in the rest of the time. So again, just as I was saying before, have those moments where you just do that sort of check and go, am I going super fast? Probably. Take a beat, relax, slow down a bit. The detriment to speaking quickly is that your students could end up not following what you're saying because you're going so fast that they can't process, and they'll miss things. So it is important to kind of have that sort of check-in once in a while, just to go, oh, you know what? Take it back a minute. Yep. And then another comment. This is really good advice here. It's okay to cut your class up into multiple parts on multiple days, multiple times. If you are in a situation where you have control over when you can teach, you can do that for sure. If you have a much longer thing, you can cut that up into sections. I did a class with some awesome peeps from my kingdom on event bids, and we went over every single crap position, and we did it over multiple sessions because we were doing like 4-hour classes, and and it was still like 4 classes, 4 hours each. It was totally nuts. It was an amazing time, but very, very long. Okay, so you've got your time slot. You're prepping. You're practicing through those time slots. Understand that, yes, if you have control over those things, and also if you're able to negotiate with the organizer, you can just straight up tell them, okay, so this is like a really, really long class, and I'm not going to be able to fit it into the time slot that you're saying. I noticed that there's an open slot on day 2. Can I do a part 1 and a part 2? Talk with them, right? Negotiate times. So that's definitely a thing you can do, for sure. So the last section I have on here is announcement. It is important that you announce when your class is and that you are doing a class, or no one will come to the class because no one will know the class is happening. There are a couple things to note when doing so. Getting the notice out, you're going to want to post to multiple locations. If you only post in your like one park, you're only going to get students from that one park. So if you're in a situation, you know, like this, where you are able to reach folks from multiple kingdoms, where time and distance isn't an issue, definitely just get the word out, send it out, spread it out, let anyone know, and ask your friends to share it. That's been a huge help to me. And also, honestly, thank you so much to everyone that has been doing that. It really, really means a lot to me, because getting it out there myself can be very difficult, and I'm definitely doing my best to get it out there, but it's definitely word of mouth and other folks sharing it also is hugely helpful. But yeah, so one thing to note is when you start advertising, can affect attendance. If you announce it way too early, folks are going to totally forget that you have a class coming up, and by the time it comes up, they're like, oh shoot, yeah, I totally forgot you're doing it. I was going to go to that too, but this random thing came up and I signed up to do this thing. That happens a whole bunch. If you don't have enough time, then folks will already have things booked in that time, and then they won't be able to show up. So another thing that is something to consider, again, right, is recording your classes. If you do stuff where like for Twitch, right, I'm able to record all these, so folks are able to watch them at a different time. So you're still doing it live for the folks that are there and available, like all you folks there right now. Hello. Again, thank you for being here. Super appreciate it. But it does mean that folks that are not here right now can be watching this later, and they can also watch it at their leisure. Right? They can watch bits at a time, especially since my classes tend to be a little long. So that's pretty much it for the when. Again, we're gonna give it that 20 seconds. If anyone has any questions on the who, what, or when that we've covered so far, feel free to throw those into chat. We're going to be switching now to where? Oop. Nope, wrong slide. There it is. So again, if anyone has any questions. And, oh. Doing dishes. Yep. I routinely will have classes that I will listen to as well while doing other things. It's almost like a podcast kind of thing. So I hope your dish is get very clean, and that you are able to enjoy this class and hear me while doing so, and that it is an enjoyable experience. Otherwise, I know chores are not the funnest thing ever to do. See? That's the thing. Weaving project. Yay, crafting! Yes, good. Craft all the things. Excellent. Good. Yep. I love crafting while listening to things. I actually basically need to be listening to things while I'm crafting. I don't like silence. Yep, leatherworking, fantastic. Ooh, nice, nice, nice. Oh my gosh. Fantastic. Yes, yes, excellent. Look at all you multitaskers. Proud of you. Good stuff, good stuff. And crafting. Oh, my serpent knight heart. Okay, think we're good. We'll move on to the next section now. Again, if you have any questions at any point, feel free to tag me. Yeah, let's move on. Keep on trucking. Okay, where? Again, here we are in this in-person versus online. It's a heck of a thing right now. It's very strange that we don't have the option that we are stuck online. But honestly, again, right? Think of the cool thing is now that we've been kind of forced into this situation of having to do stuff online. It's sort of ripping off the Band-Aid and going, oh, actually, this is kind of cool. Oh, I get to have my things recorded now. Oh, I can have students that are from all around the world if needed, right? That it's now not just whoever can show up to this shire on this one day, where, you know, half the park can't even make it, right? Being able to you know, rip the Band-Aid off and do the very scary online thing, getting into it, and you start getting more comfortable with it. Yeah, it can be pretty cool. I'm kind of enjoying it, digging it. So the one thing to remember when the world goes back to normal, we can still do online classes. We don't have to just do this for pandemics. We can do these online classes and continue these when we get back to fielding, and we are doing a live teaching as well. We can do the combination of both. And for folks that aren't interested in, you know, talking in front of crowds, and again, right, if that's not a thing that appeals to you, this is absolutely a venue that folks can use. Also, food for thought, things to consider. A lot of times, for situations like when we're looking at knights and paragons, things that we kind of expect folks to be teaching for, there is a lot of times where there isn't an open venue for them to teach. We'll go, yeah, no, we would like to see this candidate teach more. And then you'll go, okay, well, when can they teach? This event is completely blocked up. They don't offer any slots for teachers. There's no space for somebody to teach at, which we're going to cover in this slide here, because everything's in reverse. Oh, there it is. Magic. So those are things to consider, right? For future stuff. We can still keep doing this. So the where, right? Know that you can do stuff online, you can do stuff in person, and for folks that don't necessarily have those spots at events that they can teach at, they can do these online lessons. Additionally, and this is something that we're going to cover shortly, next one, literally next slide. There can be this sort of uncomfortable thing where an autocrat won't book somebody to teach, like if they're not a master or a knight or a paragon, because they won't know if the individual is vetted. Okay, I'm not gonna jump that. I don't want to jump the thing too quick. Doing that thing where I get super eager and want to talk about a thing. Take a beat, slow down. We'll get to it when it's time. But again, just more benefits to the where discussion. Knowing that there are options in person and online. So, things to consider. We're going to go over utilities, amenities, and space. So, utilities in both cases, things to consider. Electricity. If you are doing an event at a live situation, make sure that if you have a class that needs electricity, that there is electricity. You might end up doing a class that is outside in a park and there is no outlets, there's nothing. You might end up in a situation where there are no lights, where you might have a whole entire thing planned where it's a super messy activity and there's no running water. You might have a whole slideshow presentation. Like, yeah. And have no TV or laptop or anything. Again, the electricity to use those devices. It will put quite a damper on your presentation if your entire plan is not usable whatsoever because of the lack of utilities in the space. So have that in mind, know where you're doing stuff before you plan out your whole entire thing, and it gets all just wasted entirely. So other things that are going to be sort of in that list of things is amenities, right? This could go as far as, do you have chairs? Is everyone going to be sitting on the ground? Do you have a table? Even so much as maybe you're not doing like a workshop sort of thing where somebody's going to be crafting, but for yourself, if there's only chairs, if you have notes, if you have, things, teaching aids, and nowhere to put it, all of your stuff's on the ground. And you're going to have to bend over and grab stuff every 2 seconds to be like, okay, now we're going to do this. And now we're going to cover... Oh, God, no, I got to grab this. Your back's going to be killing you by the end. So a simple thing as much as even just having a little table that you can keep your stuff on, a little stand, something... yeah. Also, oddly enough, chairs could work as tables too. I've done that before. Where we had no tables, but we had a million chairs. I just used a chair in front of me and used it as a little table. So those do work. So other things to consider, right? If you have a sink, running water, and you have a messy thing, make sure that there's like, paper towels, or your cleanup thing of choice. Make sure that there's a garbage that you have somewhere to put all of the trash and garbage from your class in. Make sure that whatever you're going to be needing for the class, that is available to you. That is either already available at the site that you're doing it at, or that you know ahead of time that it doesn't have that, so that you can bring those materials with you. How those sorts of things will be affected if you're doing stuff online. Internet connection. If my internet goes down right now, the class is gone. I will not be able to teach. We are reliant on internet to be able to do live streams. So that's extremely important. Again, electricity. If there's a power outage, again, this class all of a sudden is gone like that. Understand that these things can happen. Some things you're not going to be able to fix. You're not going to be able to account for. Know that it's a possibility, but also know what is in control and what it's out of your control. Consider also, again, right, just, are you standing or sitting for this class? Understand that if you're doing something online, you're most likely going to have a camera that is in a specific position, and that's not moving for your class. So if you have a need to be getting up and down, you would have to move the camera every single adjustment that you are making. And this is also kind of going to go into space a bit. Everything that is in the frame of your camera, understand that that's dealing with the space. Know what is in shot, right? As you can see, everything I have in here is strategically placed. This is not normally how my couch is decorated. This is what is called a set dress. This is specifically planned out things to put on my couch for these classes. This is not normally how my couch looks. I have different pillows. I definitely do not have this big furry blankie. This usually stays on my bed. Yeah, and I have a giant banana body pillow. It's literally banana for scale. It's a terrible joke thing. It was for a magic show. Long story. But yes, I have random pillows, things of all sorts. I have a giant ottoman that's right here normally. That is right now like on its side, pushed off over, resting on a table that you can't see. Right. Be super aware of what is in your shot. Only show what you want to show in your shot. If you have a big old mess in the corner there, you don't want your camera to be facing the big old mess in the corner there. That's not something that you're going to want, especially a whole bunch of strangers from the internet to be staring at, and it doesn't look good. It can be very distracting and unappealing to be looking at, and yeah, I don't know a lot of people that would specifically want to show off the messy parts of their home. I certainly do not want anyone knowing the terrible messes that can exist within this home. Like the unfolded laundry that is in my peripheral vision right now that I desperately want to fold just because it's bugging me, and it's there. But you will never see it. You'll never know the terrible, terrible unfolded mess that is on that recliner, that you can't even see the recliner. It is there. I guarantee it. But you'll never know. Or is it? You'll never know. It's over there. Or is it? I don't know. Mysteries. Space. So, space. Important things. So, again, now switching back to in-person stuff, the space is going to be very important. If you have a plan to have X amount of people show up at your class and only a quarter of that can fit in the space that you're in, you're going to have a problem. If you have only one table and 30 students and you're doing a workshop where they are crafting an item, you're going to have a problem. Also, right, lighting can be affected also. If you only have one light and you're indoors, it is nighttime, and you're doing something that very much requires light to be able to see and do a thing, again, that's going to be an issue. So know the space ahead of time. Plan for your space. Teach around your space. Prepare all of your materials. Bring whatever you need to accommodate for the space. But know what you're getting into before you do it. You 100% do not want to sign up for teaching without knowing the space that you're doing it in. And then finding out right then and there on the spot what you're dealing with. Make sure that you can see it, that if possible, even go there and be there and sort of do like a walk around ahead of time. If it is at an event that you've never been to before, make sure that you're going to get in there at least before the class. Make sure that, like, let's say I'm going to show up to an event on a Friday, my class is on a Saturday. After I get my sleeping situation set up, I'm signing in, pay for troll, folks. That's important. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna spot out my teaching space just so I understand what I'm dealing with. Pre-think, okay, how many tables we got? This many tables, this many chairs. How do I want to set up the space, right? Because that's gonna be important too. You're gonna want to make sure that the layout is something that you can control. You want to make sure that if there's tables and chairs that you have the chairs in a specific spot so that your students can watch you, right? If you have everything that's just like around a table, all of the students that are in these chairs, if you're teaching from over here, you're gonna have all of those students. They're not gonna be able to watch you during the class. They're gonna be, whipping their neck around their corner the whole time, or they're gonna have to flip in their seats and not have a table in front of them to be working. So like half your students will be at a severe disadvantage. So again, random things to think about. So that's pretty much it for the where. I'm gonna go in and answer some questions now. Again, if you have any questions, who, what, when, and where at this point. Now is the time. I'm going to go and answer the few questions that I can see that I'm tagged in real quick. Let's see what these are. Doop, doop, doop. Your thoughts on class fee for online classes? Oh, that's a good question. I don't like charging for classes personally. That's not why I'm in it. But I can definitely see sort of, if you were doing it for like a fundraiser, that sort of thing, right? I would definitely teach for a fundraising thing for sure. And thinking about it now, I probably should, because we are in the Nine Blades definitely fundraising currently. I could definitely do something specifically teaching based. But yeah, sort of balancing. I would never want a situation where education became a pay to play, if that makes sense. If I'd probably do it for more of like if I was to do a fundraiser, I'd probably do it for more of like a coaching one-on-one kind of thing, where I mean the whole rest of the year I'd be open to do that regardless, and that's I do that quite often. But yeah, I could see possibly doing a one-on-one coaching teaching thing specifically for like an auctioned off thing, if it's to benefit a fundraising thing and folks are cool and open to do so. Yeah, but otherwise, yeah, I personally don't feel comfortable doing so. Just as a knight, as a paragon, as a master, teaching is sort of a passion for me. It's a thing that I want to do, and it is a service thing that I do. So I definitely would not want there to be a financial barrier on that. I think education in general, I'm against education having a dollar amount on it in general. I would personally love to see that for like universities to be a free thing that folks can go to. So being an educator in this game, I have the ability to offer my services for free. So that is personally what I choose to do. But that's me. If somebody else chooses to do so, no judging. That's everyone has their own life and their own experiences and their own decisions. And you know, you do you. I can only speak to just my own personal things and what I will or will not do. But things like that. If that makes sense. Okay. I hope that answers that. Next question. When back to normal, your thoughts on how to manage hybrid teaching. I've been having a go at work, just thinking about how to adapt. Yeah. The cool thing right now is that we are in a situation where we are learning a lot more techniques, and we are learning about all the different teaching aids and tools that are available to us right now, because teaching online is now becoming this widespread thing that folks are have to learn at this point, for mundane purposes, for folks that are going to work, going to school, and now us in AmpGuard, for those of us that are in office positions, trying to keep activities open for folks, and for those of us that are service based, that very much want to keep educating and getting that knowledge and experience out there, without being able to to go and do our normal in-person thing. This is definitely a good tool for us, but we're definitely learning more things that we can incorporate. I think that we absolutely can be doing more hybrid teaching. If for nothing else, just aids for teaching, and again, right, I'm going to be going into the whole VARC thing and sort of the importance of having different modes of to accommodate for different learning styles, which again, shortly, I will explain shortly. So I hope that kind of covers that. How do they get vetted if they don't get the chance to try to teach first? Yes, that's exactly it. We cannot expect Paragon and Knight candidates to just boom get all that sort of stuff without getting the chance to do it first, right? The problem with not getting vetted is like everyone has to have that first shot to be able to be vetted. If they never get that shot because they're not vetted, then it's this spiraling thing of how are you supposed to right? It ends up usually being a case where somebody gives you a shot and you take it, and you were prepared and you knew your stuff, and then they went, oh, okay, cool, this is somebody that I can now trust to do this in the future. So basically, it's literally the next slide. Okay, I'm going to explain this on the next slide, because it's, yeah, I'm going to cover this. Don't worry, I will definitely do that. I'm going to answer the next question, just knowing that I'm covering that the next slide. How does one curse the internet gods? I don't know. It's a mystery. Also a random tip. Don't guess. If you don't have an answer, it's super important not to guess. Make it very clear that if you don't have the answer, that you aren't going to be guessing, and that if you're able to, that you will find the answer and get back to them, or you will send them to somebody that will have the answer. But at no point should you, as a teacher, ever guess the answer. You are put into a specific situation where folks are trusting you to give you good advice, useful advice, helpful advice, and you can steer them in a really bad direction if you don't know your stuff and you give them information that's bad. Yeah, again, next slide. I'll getting ahead of myself. I'm gonna cover all of this. I'm so sorry. Okay, so that one also, okay. I'm gonna check just a couple more of these because I think all of these are gonna be covered in the next slide. So, just real quick. No, I do not always dress this way. Often, but not always, no. Side tip on that, I guess. When you are teaching, it's important to be professional at all times. So, you want to take it seriously. You want your students to take you seriously. Make sure that you are dressed for the thing that you're doing. Right, for mundane life, right? Most often than not, if you are, a university professor, you're not going to show up in a onesie, right? There are random situations where that does happen. That's true. But right, it's a job. It's a professionalism thing. You want to make sure that you are dressed for the occasion. So for me, that's why I dress up for my classes, because my classes are Amp Guard classes specifically. That is why I wear garb. And I prefer to, it was actually a thing that I learned, that for the professional thing is you will go up one notch in the fanciness of your attire, when you are trying to show your seriousness and your professionalism of a thing. You can bump up your professional cred, as it were, by stepping it up one notch, just ever so slightly higher. So that's also why I go the whole thing. So yeah, just a random tip. So yeah, that's why I tend to not just wear like just my tunic. So I like to go the whole thing. But it takes a lot more time to get ready, and you must prepare for that amount of time. Plan your stuff at a time and give yourself the time to get all up in the stuff. Yeah, so random stuff. Doop, 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 doop. Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, my color scheme. Just random things. So, thank you for the compliment on my pillows. Doop, doop, doop. Don't craft room shame. I guarantee you, my craft room is going to be a million times more messy than yours. I'm just gonna call that right now. I will not be beat on this. Messiest craft room. As if that's a good thing. Oh gosh, I want to clean it so bad. I need it organized so bad, and it's bugging me. I have everything is set up in that room to be super organized. I have so many different things, and everything's just. It's the curse of the crafter. It is known. Doop, doop, doop. Yeah, stone loans are amazing. They are horrible. It's amazingly horrible. Corsets are work. That's true. Boots before corset. Pro tip. Do not put your corset on and then put your boots on. It's bad time. How would I know that? Because I'm always wearing boots. My secret. Yeah, I find also a lot of folks when doing classes, they will only dress waist up. I feel super weird doing that, so everything. I have the whole thing, the whole kit and caboodle. I'm wearing my shiny satin pants, with my big flute skirt. No one ever sees it, but I know. I also just sort of, I don't know, I feel more comfortable just being in the full thing. Junior skivvies, oh my. Scandalous. Yeah. Okay, so I think we're good to move on. Next slide. Whoop. Why? Okay. So this is where a lot of the other questions I'm hoping to cover in this. And if not, we'll double back. No issue doing that whatsoever. Okay, so qualifications. To be clear, I am not saying that you need to be a knight, that you have to be a master, that you have to be a paragon to teach in Amtgard. That is not true. It is important, however, that you have some sort of vetted thing. And I'm not meaning in terms of other people vetting you. A vetting for yourself. Know your stuff. Make sure that you know the information that you are teaching about. If you are teaching a class on a topic, be sure you actually know the information, that you prepare, that you are not going to give advice that will lead to bad habits, just general bad advice. Um, there's this really brutal sort of phrase, um, but it covers this. I don't like how it's phrased, but it's the phrase. The road to hell is paved with good intentions. It's so extreme, but I hope you get the gist of it. Essentially, there's a lot of really wonderful, eager individuals that just want to help. But some of those individuals do not have the knowledge or experience, and are just really just trying to just do a thing, but they will end up giving advice that can be detrimental. I there was one situation I remember where it was a rather small park, and an individual taught everyone at the park how to make weapons. This person did not know how to make legal weapons. So every single person at that park that this individual taught learned how to make weapons wrong. And when they started traveling to other parks in their kingdom, all of their weapons were always illegal. And it became this thing where they had to relearn everything. And the park itself ended up getting a reputation, going, there's this terrible thing where you see an illegal weapon, you go, oh, are they from this park? And that's a terrible thing to associate with. That's a terrible thing to think of. It's bad habits are very hard to unlearn, especially ones that involve muscle memory. If somebody teaches somebody bad body mechanics for fighting, they could end up hurting themselves. They could end up getting stuck in muscle memory where they have to relearn everything, and the amount of time it takes for muscle memory to build. And it can be very, very detrimental to a student. I think a lot of times folks don't consider the repercussions of volunteers that teach things that aren't in their wheelhouse, or that, again, if they guess the answers, your students need to be able to trust what you say. You being in a teaching position automatically puts you in a situation where people will be listening to you, and if you do not have the answers, and you give them an answer that you don't even know if it's true, they will believe you. They don't have a reason not to. Right, for me, I have been teaching this game for over 14 years. I specifically started out in university as an education major. So I have been trained specifically in this. I started as a music education major. Then I switched my major to music therapy with a minor in psychology, which ended up being just like another form of teaching, actually. And I learned a lot of things through psychology that super helped me for my teaching. But again, I was an education major for a whole bunch of years before I switched my major. So I have the training in this category. I would not presume to teach this class if I hadn't the experience, the training, the knowledge to do so. Because again, it's what's in your wheelhouse. It's what you know you're trained to do. The knowledge that you have on a specific topic. If I were to do, I'm trying to think of something that I really don't know. If I were to do a class on jujitsu, I could not in good conscience do so. I would be guessing. I'd have to make up everything. I would have no idea. It would be a presumption of what I would think jujitsu is. And I could get my students severely injured. That's not okay. as a teacher, it is on us to vet ourselves, to make sure that we are not signing up to teach if we don't know what we are teaching about. So it is on us to do that vetting. But it's also that sort of double-edged sword, right? Because folks that are autocrats and monarchs, regents, whatever the circumstance might be, that they might be getting somebody to fulfill one of these teaching roles, often than not, right, they're going to go with the safe bet, right? The safe bet is going to be somebody that is vetted, right? And if somebody is a master or a knight or a paragon, right, whatever the situation might be, that's basically, you know that they are vetted, because they wouldn't have those things if they didn't have the knowledge and experience to get those things, right? To be quite frank, I actually, that was the whole basis of why I wanted to be a knight so badly. Having this white belt is essentially like wearing a degree around my waist, going, I am a serpent knight. If I teach you about a crafting thing, I probably know about that crafting thing. I'm probably going to give you some sort of knowledge on that that's not going to lead you in a terrible direction, hopefully. Right? So basically, I ended up in a situation where, again, right, I was trained in a whole bunch of things, like professionally trained in a whole bunch of things that I was looking to teach, and no one would give me a shot because I wasn't a knight. And it became this thing to where other folks would be teaching and they would not have the knowledge or experience in the training that I did. And I'm watching them just give very bad advice. And I'm going, I was literally professionally trained in this, but I can't get a shot at this teaching position because no one's going to give me a chance because I don't have a white belt around me. So that was actually quite a incentive for me to push so hard to become a knight, was because I wanted to teach so badly. It was such a passion of mine. It's something that I deeply wanted to do, and it was something that I knew was a form of service I could do in this game, that it was something that I could do and wanted to do. And I just couldn't get a shot until I had that belt. And it's unfortunate. It's extremely unfortunate. It makes it a lot easier, for sure, to be able to teach in those circumstances. And it also means that if I want to teach another kingdom, right, again, having that belt sort of gives them a, okay, you're probably vetted kind of thing. But if I didn't have this belt and I tried to teach another kingdom, I'd probably get a, how do I know you know your stuff? Right? Because if they don't know me, then they have no reason to trust me. They have no reason to assume that I actually know my stuff, that I'm coming in with any sort of knowledge or experience to do a thing. Again, that's not on them. Right? There's a giant thing of trust when you are a teacher, and if you assign somebody to be a teacher that is not experienced in doing so, and right, they guess stuff, they do stuff that's out of their wheelhouse, and they give bad advice or teach, detrimental or dangerous things, then it's on you as the autocrat or the officer that has hired this person to teach. That sort of, that liability kind of thing is on you. So it's, on the other side, it's understandable that there would be that wariness. So it's a double-edged sword. It's a very unfortunate situation that is extremely hard to get that chance. So what I would say is, if you have somebody that wants to teach, that is eager to teach, and doesn't have the sort of the vetting that, in this game, that's that automatic, okay, you see this, that they, have experience, ask them, just talk with them, have a conversation, consider it like an interview, make sure, right, ask them what their experience is, if they have any training, what they would like to teach about, what are the kind of things that you like to cover in this class, right? Just to make sure. But like, if they know their stuff, you'll be able to know pretty soon off in that conversation, and give them a chance, right? If they can convince you in that conversation that they are not going to do any harm to your students, then give them the shot to teach. But yeah, otherwise your safe bet is going to be somebody that has, you know, those benchmarks in our game that you know is the safe choice. That's the unfortunate circumstance, but don't let that be the barrier, that bar, preventing good, eager, knowledgeable individuals from getting that chance to break out into that teaching role. Because I was in that situation, and I could have been teaching much earlier, and I couldn't get a shot. So make sure that you give folks a shot. So that's the qualifications thing, right? The why. Heavy. That's a little heavy. So I'm gonna say, don't give up. You've got this. If you care about this, if you are passionate about this, do not give up on it. Do not give up at all. I didn't give up, and I regret nothing. It was good fuel for me to achieve my goals. It was good incentive for me to keep pushing. And I feel very blessed and honored to be in a situation, in a position that folks are willing to come to my classes to listen and to learn from me. It is something that means a great deal to me, and that I'm very honored to be in this position. And I absolutely do not take for granted a single student that I ever have. It's a great deal of trust to put into somebody, and I do not take that lightly. So, just don't give up. Don't stop. Don't give up. Never give up. Never surrender. All right? You got this. Good. Okay. Just want to check some other things. Make sure I'm not missing any questions. Yeah, oh gosh, that's the thing too. That's a really good point. We have so many teachers that are teaching classes right now, and a bunch of them have videos. If somebody wants to teach and they have a bunch of videos and you don't know if they're vetted or not, go and watch their videos. You can actually see them teaching. See if they know stuff. See if, you know, they're good at the things they do. If you are trying to vet somebody, go and actually look at their stuff, because there's probably going to be stuff. That's the really cool thing about this right now, right? I have all of my collection of all of my classes right now that I've taught during this pandemic. Right, I have on Twitch and now on YouTube. I'm now on YouTube. So yeah, so it's a really cool thing that we now have this sort of catalog of our work. So that's definitely also a thing. If you are trying to find references for folks, that is a thing now. Key tip: don't break the students. Yeah, it's fair. Fair. Don't break your students. Yeah. Oh gosh, that's a really good point. Yes. What Alana says right there. Just because they have the belt doesn't mean they can't give bad advice. There are folks that end up getting things that they're not immune. They are not immune to bad advice. And everyone has different opinions on things too. They might wholeheartedly believe that their way is the right way, and somebody that might think differently, or have more knowledge or experience in a thing, or like really are hyper aware of consequences and repercussions, might be like, Okay, so that's completely ignoring, like health and safety. So that's a problem. um, so yeah, just go in with a grain of salt for all sort of teaching things. No one is immune to bad advice. At some point, they're going to give you something that might not be the greatest thing, right? Pull and take. There might be some gems in there, but grain of salt for safety is always sort of a good thing. Also, just to be clear, and a thing that you want to express to your students, and 100% a thing for all of my classes, including what we're doing right here and now. This is a way to do things. This is not the only way to do things. These are the things that I have learned that work well for me. If they work well for you too, fantastic. If they don't, that's okay. There are other ways to do it. There are other things that might work better for you. You do not have to be me. Don't be me. If anything, do not be me. Be the best you can be. Everyone's going to find their own niche, their own method, and their own way of doing things, which should be encouraged. It's going to be very, very important that you don't tunnel vision into any lesson, really, just any lesson at all. Understand that it is a method of doing things, and they might be able to show a bunch of options for doing things that they know of, right? But no one is omnipotent. They don't know every single way a thing can be done. So definitely don't get caught up where you stop thinking outside of the box, and you stop experimenting, trying things, and working around different methods for yourself and finding what fits for you, and modifying things if needed. Sometimes what somebody suggests will be the ticket thing that'll work for you. And it'll be super. Hello. This is my cat Trey. Hi, buddy. Hi. Yes, hello. Say hello to everyone. Hi, buddy. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You like our scratches. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Super distracted. See, things happen. Live classes. These things just happen. Cats, kitties just happen. Yeah. So, again, be very open, honest with your students. Be sure that they know that what you present is an option, a way to do things, not the only way to do things. Okay. And yes, the best teacher's pet is a teacher's pet. Yes, that's the thing. He's a good teacher's pet. Yeah, buddy. Okay. Just play my skirt down. That's fine. Okay. Sorry. Trey is a very huge distraction for me. He is the sweetest little guy ever. Yeah. It's honestly, yeah. If you ever have dead air, have your cat just come in. They fill the space and are very distracting and wonderful. Oh goodness. Okay. Getting back on topic, I'm going to quickly look and see if there's any other quick things before we go on to goals and students. Just want to make sure I'm not going to miss anything. Yes. So here's the question: If you don't expect to earn a masterhood in a path someday, should you try to teach in that path? Yeah. You don't have to strive for a title to want to teach, to be a good teacher, to have knowledge and experience in a thing. Your goal does not need to be knighthood or masterhood or anything like that. Again, if the professional training I had in a whole bunch of things, especially like in music and theater and stuff like that, even if I hadn't been striving for a Master Dragon and eventually Serpent Knight, Um, that is definitely not going to be a precursor of whether or not I should have been teaching music and theater in AmpGuard. That doesn't make your value or your helpfulness to others any less, depending on what you're striving for or not striving for. It's what you know, what you do, how you do it, in the here and now, that should be dictating whether or not you should be teaching. If that's the thing that you want to do, if you know your stuff and you have the time availability and are able to do so, yeah, go for it. Do the thing. When in doubt, do the thing. Yep. Yeah, just sort of like an aside thing. If you are a Knight Master, a Paragon, make sure that if you have students, um, teach them how to teach, kind of thing. If that's a goal of theirs, um, make sure that you're able to guide them along the way. Right, you can have them shadow you, assist you with classes, kind of get that inside thing. Yeah, yeah, definitely. If we have the expectation of wanting paragons and masters and teachers to teach, then those of us that are in those positions not only need to make sure that they can get those opportunities, but that they can also have the training and the experience to get there as well. It's also a thing for teaching a class like this. Hello, we're doing the thing right now. I want folks to be able to teach, so I want to be here and available in this moment to give tips and advice and the knowledge that I've gotten through the years in both in university and in AmpGuard, and I want folks to be able to do this, to get better at doing this, and know that they can do this, and have whatever support and knowledge and tips that can help them along the way. So that is quite literally why we're doing the thing right now. Just a couple more things. Just want to make sure I'm not missing stuff. Okay, cool. Yeah. Cool. Moving on. Okay. Oh, okay, yeah. No, I'm gonna quick thing. That is a good point. That I want to cover as well, Alana. Not everyone has a knight. And knights aren't able to belt everyone. Be sure that folks have your knowledge and experience available to them, even if they're not belted to you. Be sure to spread the wealth, to share outside of your circle, right? Again, that ends up being just like a financial thing could be a block on education. So can keeping your knowledge and experience to yourself. If you know a thing, share it. If you know your stuff, you're able to share it. Please do so. A lot of folks can benefit from these things if you are willing to do so, and we should be doing so in the positions that we're in. If you have the venue, do the thing, please. Please do the thing. Help everyone, not just do not create cliques of knowledge where only your beltlings will will get to move on and progress in this game. That's not how that works, and that's not how it should work. Anyone in this game should be able to achieve their goals and have whatever knowledge and experience that they can. If you got it, share the wealth. Yeah. Moving on. Okay. Goals. So, it's important that when you are creating a class and you're about to teach a thing to know what your goal is for doing the thing. You might be doing something that is maybe it's just popular demand. Just a lot of people really want to know how to do this thing. That might be the motivation to do it. It might be as simple as creating content, having an online, right, like this, right, having an online resource that folks can go and look up later to use it when they need it, even if it might not be a thing that is useful in their career or their path or whatever the situation is right here and now. It might be useful to them later, having, resources available later, right, having a stockpile of stuff, that might be the motivation. It could be a specific request. If you have somebody that is going, hey, I have a park that really desperately would like to learn how to do X, and we don't have anyone in our park that can teach that. We know you can do the thing. Would you be willing to come and teach the thing? The goal could be, okay, helping this park, learning whatever the specific thing that they need to. That could be that specific goal. Other things to also consider with goals is what is the outcome? Are you expecting them to learn a new skill by the end? Are you expecting them to be masters by the end of your class? Are you just expecting them to have a little bit more knowledge and maybe some tips by the end? Is this a class for super vets that it's like a masterhood class for that is specifically geared towards folks that are already super experienced and are looking for that slight notch up in improvement, or are you creating a class for first day amp guarders that have no knowledge of this game at all, and it is literally, hi, welcome to Amp Guard, here's day one, this is what you need to know. Understand what is the goal that you are trying to achieve in the class. Know why you're doing it. And that also covers students, right? Know your audience, know the students that you're doing this for, right? If you are teaching beginner students, you are not going to be covering things like 6-level class abilities. You're not going to be covering super advanced sewing techniques, sword movements, and combos, and all sorts of like higher level things. Know your students and your audience in that regard. You are going to end up in situations where you're going to have a mix of the two. That's essentially what we have here, right? We have some people that have been teaching for years and years that I have gone to these individuals' classes, which are fantastic. And there are other folks on here that I can see that have never taught before, and others that are just starting to get into it, and some folks that have done some classes. Like, it's quite fascinating to see who's here right now, because there is such a variety of experience levels here, which is fantastic. But I also figured that would be a thing. Going in knowing that, you're going to have a wide range of experience levels, right? That's good to know also, because you don't want to go and give tips that are only beginner stuff or just super advanced stuff. Kind of do the gamut of all stuff, and hope that the stuff that you're presenting, that there will be some useful information in there for everybody, no matter what their level of experience is. So know the students, gear your classes towards the students that you have. So stuff. Okay, so we have gone through the who, what, when, and why. If you have any questions at this point for any of those things, this is the time. The next thing is going to be the how. This is going to be more in depth, getting more specific. Well, we're nearing the end point here. All we have left is the how, and I've got some tips on the do's and don'ts, and then it will be just straight up open for Q&A for anything that is left that we haven't covered. That we will get into that if needed. But again, remember that 20-second delay. As is tradition, as I have not done it yet, shameful, I know, the 20-second silly weight dance. And the jazz hands for Rajavia, as is tradition. It's never actually 20 seconds. That's my secret. I always do this sort of silly dance thing. I always say it's a 20-second dance. Silly dance, but it's never actually 20 seconds. Now you know my terrible secret. I don't know how seconds work, apparently. Okay. I think we're about good. Don't have any questions. We're going to move on to the how. Just get deep dive right into this and keep moving along. So we are progressing in time. Past the morning dawn of angelic pineapples. That is the most majestic sentence I think I have ever read in my life, and kudos to you. I'm gonna drink that. That's fantastic. Also, remember, as usual, remember to hydrate along. I'm gonna be saying plan and prepare a million times in the next bit of this, so every time take a swig of water or Gatorade or whatever your hydration of choice is. Gonna be super healthy by the end of this class. Okay, moving on, let's do this. Whoop whoop. How? Next slide. That's the wrong slide. Don't do who, what, when, where, why, how is not there. Well, rip. Okay. How unfortunate. How very unfortunate. Okay. Not sure how that happened. We're going off the slides. Deepest apologies. The slide is not on here for some reason. So we're just gonna go slow and steady, and if you aren't able to follow along, please let me know, and I will repeat anything as needed. Okay, so we're gonna get into learning styles. This is the plan. The planning section is super important. This is where we're going to go over VARK. What VARK is. VARK. This stands for Visual, Auditory, Reading, and Kinetic. These are different learning styles. So, visual. Visual is going to be things like pictures, diagrams. Follow along. Sorry, 1 second.
Do you want me to get the slide fixed?
Yeah, if you are able to.
I thought I had them all.
Because it would be super good if this slide was up, specifically as this is...
Hello!
Skyler, this is my technician.
So let me see.
I will resend you quickly the...
Yeah, it looks like I didn't get it. It's just not on the list here.
See, stuff happens. This is how just stuff happens.
Yep.
Unfortunately, sometimes when you're doing classes, all of a sudden things are unexpected and they just happen. it's important to just be flexible on the fly, try to get things managed as quickly and expediently as you can. Don't let it phase you or get under your skin. Know that it's just a thing that happens. It's okay. We will move on and we will make it through. All good. Here we go. And I'm sending the photo. The thingy has been sent. Bloop.
Okay, got it. 2 seconds.
Fantastic. Much
Quick.
appreciated.
Make a distraction. Can you type in, oh, yeah, I got it.
Okay. Anytime, try it. Come here.
0.5
Hi. Can you come up?
dash.
Oh, I know you poor baby. Oh, of course.
Sit.
Of course you don't want to play at this
Okay.
moment.
So in an ideal
Okay.
world,
So,
this would just already be there. Go. No. Okay. Stand by.
Womp womp. Sorry, folks. This is a bit of a womp
I'm
womp.
gonna do that. And we're gonna redo this.
Yes, ready your Pokeballs.
Bunk.
Wild
Is that the other
Moojos.
thing? Alright. Oh. Try again.
Hey!
Right.
There it is. Okay, sorry for the delay,
Bye.
folks. Thank you, Wild Wunjo, appearing for your assistance. Okay, there we go. It's going to be so much better having the slide up. Oh gosh, there's a bunch of stuff. Okay, again, VARK. VARK, visual, auditory, reading, and kinetic. These are different learning styles. It is extremely important to understand that folks do not learn things in the same ways. If somebody is able to do visual learning, they may not be able to do reading. They might be able to do kinetic and may not be able to do auditory at all. There are folks that could dabble a little bit in each, or be extremely selective into one and not another. These are not options. These are not preferences. This isn't like a pickiness thing. There are some folks that have LDs, learning disabilities, that they are unable to learn in specific methods. I myself have a learning disability. I am almost entirely kinetic, with a little bit of visual, but I have issues with auditory, and I cannot do reading. That is like an extreme disadvantage for me for learning. I have an extremely hard time with it. So it is very, very important to keep these things in mind and try to be as flexible as possible. And right, if at all possible, incorporate different teaching styles into what you're teaching, knowing that some folks are not going to be able to handle one thing or another. I myself am also a very kinetic teacher. I really like being able to have folks do a thing themselves, but I also try to have, right, these different things. My classes are auditory already, right? I like to have visuals. There's a slide here. This is a visual mark that is there. I am on video right now. I prefer to not just to see me, but to hear me, but to see me. A lot of our learning comes from being able to see facial expressions and body language and all of that, right? All of that is part of visual as well. That's a type of learning through what they're seeing, right? So trying to keep that in mind. Reading, right? It's a slide. It actually has all of the words on there that, the main things that we're covering. It's covering the reading section. Unfortunately, we're not able to go through kinetic due to the restrictions, but it is something to keep in mind if you are able to, right? When we're doing stuff live and in person, those are good things to be able to do. But knowing that these are things, and that, again, you don't, and it doesn't even have to be, you don't have to have a learning disability to have things that you are specifically good at or can't do. That does not mean that you are learning disabled, that you can't do a thing, that something is wrong with you. these are just how folks learn. It's how they process information. What is the easiest way for them to be able to do so? And again, what is going to be that preference for what their comfort level is and how well they're able to take in and process that information. So keep VARK in mind as much as possible when going through things. So VARK. Again, I just I don't know if I went over that or not. I got a little sidetracked from the slide. So again, visual is going to be things like diagrams, pictures, being able to see things. Auditory is going to be that lecture style like I'm doing right now. It's hearing the words. It's all going to be through your ears. It's listening to words. Or music or whatever, right? It's specifically listening. Reading is going to be text-based learning. That's like having a textbook, having a reading material, a written guide for folks to learn from. And kinetic is physically doing a thing. So if you are like teaching somebody how to sword fight, you would have them physically go through the motions, physically throw a shot, physically feel what it is to block, to make those swings, where the hits locations are physically, right? Actually have them hit those locations or be hit in those locations. It is something they have to textually feel and experience and do the thing, go through the motions to learn the information. So that's what kinetic is. So VARK. VARK. Okay, so keeping learning styles in mind. Okay, the rest of your plan is going to involve prepping your materials. Notes, teaching aids, and supplies, right? Note cards are fantastic. They're little things that you can keep on you, close to hand. They're not gigantic things like big papers that you have to, right? The types of things that you're going to want to put on note cards is going to be sort of like how I have these slides set up. There's going to be sort of the section points, maybe a little note here or there that has keywords that you want to remember, things that you want to specifically hit, or things that are reminders. You're not going to write a full word for word like speech on these. I would also say try to avoid going the word for word speech approach to lectures if you can. If you have to do that, that's fine. Just the one sort of downside of that is you can get so lost in your paper that you never look up, you never engage, you never, especially for in-person, if you're a lot of stuff with just being able to read body language, which I'm going to go over later, the importance of that. If you are not able to see your students and actually see if they're following along with you, if they're keeping engaged, you're going to have some issues there because your students are going to miss information. So it's important to be able to look up and talk in front of them. You don't have to read word for word on a thing. So again, right, having note cards, having your keywords on there can be very helpful for that. Different teaching aids, slides. Slides are really nice. Right, having these slides up here, because I can actually see my screen, so I can actually see all these things. What's written on these slides is the same thing written on my cards. If my eye loses, right, I can look down at my note card if needed, but I can actually see my notes right here. I do have a couple of random little things here and there that are deviations, a little bit of extra information if I need it. If I have a specific word that I'm trying to think of that I usually like, oh god, what is the thing, what is it called, right, having those little those notes on there to help me remember things. Those are the types of things I'm not going to have on a slide. So having slides. Slides are great, again, hitting that reading part of ARC teacher's aids. These can help. Other things, dry erase boards, chalkboards, things like that. Things that you can draw on, right, to get that visual aspect. If you want to do like a diagram or a sort of picture kind of little doodle to help explain a thing, right? Those can be really good. You can get you can actually get like dry erase boards, things like that, in all sort of manners of sizes, and they're extraordinarily cheap. You can go to the dollar store. Dollar store has them. And you can also you can get dry erase markers that are in all sorts of assortments of colors, and you can also, a lot of them are magnetic too, so that you can use little magnets and things like that. Different, again, visual aids. So these are all sorts of teaching aids that you can use in your classes. Things like handouts, supplies, like if you're teaching like a crafting class, you're going to want, if you are doing a workshop and you have your students doing a kinetic activity where they are physically crafting the item, you are going to need all of the materials for them to do that. The tools, the materials themselves, any instructional guides or helpful things to help them along with that kinetic experience. Those supplies are going to be really important. The amount that you're doing, how you are fundraising for those. Is that something that your treasury can handle? Or is that something that you will have to do external fundraising for? If that's a sort of thing where to attend that class, it will cost $5 to attend the class purely for just material cost. If you can't afford the materials, you can still come and watch the class and observe, do that visual learning, if not able to do the kinetic learning. Even though, again, I am opposed to that financial bar, but sometimes we have to be realistic and understand that sometimes those things are out of our control. And some classes require physical things that do cost money, and sometimes the groups that you're doing it for cannot afford, they do not have the money to do so, and either that has to come from the students that are participating in the class, or that comes out of the teacher's pocket if they're willing to do so, if they're able to do so, or if, again, they can do external fundraising, they can do an auction or something like that, going, hey, I'm looking to teach this class for this group, we cannot afford the materials or tools for this class, I am running this auction, or whatever the case may be, to help facilitate teaching that class, right? There are ways you can go about that. So that's important. Materials. It's also going to be important to have all of those ahead of time, know how many that you need. Make sure that you're able to get them to the site if you're doing this in person. If you are doing an online class where you have them crafting along with you, again, you're going to want to make sure they have ample amount of time to get those materials, especially in a time like this where you have folks that may not be able to get out of their houses, where it might be literally going, look around your house right now, your apartment, your home, and see what materials you have on end. These are the alternative things you can use to supplement those materials. You can use this instead of this. If you don't have this on hand, you can use this instead of this. So other things to also consider, and try to be flexible with your students if possible. So that's sort of prepping your materials, making sure there's ample amount of time. Test. Okay, so this is not a test like going to a class and then going pop quiz. You have to do this thing. Test is you practicing a thing, trying something out first. For online, this is crucial. This is going to be your tech test. Make sure that your camera is working, that your sound is working, that the lighting is set. If you are teaching a class and someone else is running the tech, make sure that they do a tech test with you. Make sure that they're able to check your internet speed. Make sure that they if you are having them, do a test for you, make sure that they're doing it in the room, in the location that they're doing it on the day of the class. Make sure that the lighting is going to be the same, the sound is going to be the same, the visual is going to be the same, that they're using the device that they'll be using on that day. If they're using a headset, they're using the headset they will be using on the day. If you do a tech test and they're using all different stuff, that will not help you whatsoever in determining if they're going to be able to handle the tech and what sort of things you're going to have to all of a sudden fix on the fly, right? Like slides all of a sudden not being there, and having an amazing partner who is willing to all of a sudden run from across the other side of the apartment because he's listening in and comes and rescues your class by throwing in that slide. Stuff just happens. Flexibility. Who knows? It's going to be important to test out things, to try stuff. Right, I went and this is my first time being able to use these slides in this class. As much of experience I've had in teaching, I'm constantly learning new things, learning new aids and different technologies. So we're progressing as we go and still learning, right? So I had to learn how to be able to operate these slides on this keyboard, and there I'm going, okay, I get how it works. Put them up, I can take them down, I can advance them, I can pull them in reverse, but I didn't see that one was missing. If I had time before, I should have checked. That didn't even think to do that. There's going to be stuff that you're not going to think of, and that's okay. It is going to be a learning experience every single time you teach. Something is going to not be what you expect or what you hope it for. It's never going to be a perfect experience every single time. Understand that that's okay and that we learn from our experiences. Every time it's going to get just that little bit better because you're going to learn something. Never, ever be worried about making a mistake or having something go wrong because it is a learning experience. You learn more from your failures than your successes. If you just keep doing really good all the time, then you have no reason to push the bar and nothing to give you that incentive, that drive to help you push to that next level. So if you are having mistakes happen, that is a heck of an incentive, and then all of a sudden you're going to start thinking outside the box. You're going to look for creative ideas and solutions, and that's going to open you up to more possibilities and new and cool things that you can do. So do not be afraid of that. It's okay. It's okay to have those mess ups. You're going to learn, and you're going to get better every single time. Every single time. So embrace them and move on. Okay, so tests will also go into like sort of crafting things. Also, see how long it takes for you to physically produce the item. If you have a 1 hour slot and you're expecting folks to make a thing by the end and you cannot yourself make that item in a 1 hour block, then that's not something you're going to be able to expect of your students. Also, depending on the materials that you're buying, that you're sending them out to buy or purchase or obtain, or you're bringing for them to use. If you've never used them yourself, if you usually use this tool or that tool, but that's not what's readily accessible or particularly financially available. Then use the actual thing so you're going to have them use, so that you know that they work and you know what the outcome, what that piece is going to look like in the end, especially if it's not the same things you usually use. So that's going to be your testing thing, especially for live in-person stuff. Also, if you're doing any sort of tech, any sort of slides, sound, music, whatever, you're going to want to test that sort of stuff, especially if you're doing it in person in a place that you haven't been to before. If you're using their TVs or computers and it's not your own, a new site, whatever the case may be, you're going to want to test stuff before your class. So prepping the location, just as I was explaining before, this is not how my couch usually looks. So set dress, if you are doing something online, have your setup be what you want it to be. understand also if you are doing a class, I'm going to tell you right now, I would avoid standing if it's a long class because it can be very tiring. It can hurt after a while. So if you're able to sit, that's probably going to be more comfortable for you. But make sure that where you're sitting is comfortable. Also, be in a situation that is going to work for you. What your comfort level is, what is going to be the best situation for the block of time that you're doing. Right, we've been doing this class for a couple hours now. I have medical stuff myself, so my secret is, the reason why I have this here is to hide this. I have pillows that are propping me up, that I have all sorts of back support that with the throw on it, it's not obvious. I'm very open about all my medical stuff, so this isn't like, oh, shocking, no, you know my secret. I hope this is useful to you if you are in a similar situation. If you're going to be sitting on a couch and you want to be upright and be able to sit up and talk, and you have very tiny legs that like you have to be, this far away from the back like me, that I cannot reach the back of my couch otherwise, having pillows propped up is going to be a good benefit for you. But again, right, you can use that set dress. You can make, visually it look nice, but, hide those things too by having a throw. So keep those things in mind. Also, right, again, you're only ever seeing like waist up. So there's lots of times where I am moving my legs, I am stretching, I'm changing my position, right? This leg is up, now this leg is up, now my legs are out, now my legs are down. Stretching side, stretching side. Now, I just kicked the table a whole bunch while I'm doing that, but normally I'm a little bit better about it. But there's a lot that I'm doing during these classes because staying in one spot is difficult for me. I do have to take medication for me to be able to be upright and stay up like this long. I have my spinal brace on right now, right? I have things that aid me physically so that I'm able to do these. Go in knowing exactly what you're getting yourself into and make sure that you are in a good situation that is going to set you up for you to be comfortable and for you to physically be able to handle the thing, which also goes into the part of the physical prep. So I'll go into that a little bit later, but so prepping your location, right? This lighting situation is also not my usual lighting, right? We pull in this light here from the other room. We usually don't have this set up. I actually have a light sensitivity issue with my left eye. You will notice that my hat is at a slant. That is intentional because I can't take that light hitting my left eye, or it's very painful for me. And I don't particularly want to wear my eye patch during the class, but I do have it literally right here. If I'm not able to, if I'm catching the light too much and it's really giving me an issue, I have my eye patch here that I can throw on so that I can get through the rest of the class. Right, having any sort of medical aid devices within reach is important, right? You can't see all the things. Can you hear those, right? I have a bunch of stuff that's right out shot, but are within arm reach, because when I'm teaching this, I am alone in this room. That way, you're not going to be dealing with any sort of sound of the wildly appearing Wunjo moving around the room and doing stuff. He's on the other side of the apartment during these classes. But he is listening in because, again, he's helping me with tech, so if something goes wrong, he's able to come in and assist me. But he's not in the room walking around, shuffling stuff, creating noise. So it's definitely also things to just sort of keep in mind. Part of that prepping your location is also being mindful of who else is in your area and making sure that they're in sync and you're communicating with them to make sure that it's not going to be an issue for your class. So random fun tips. Also hydration. Oh my gosh. It doesn't matter if you're doing this in person or at your home. Have a drink within reach. You're going to be talking for a whole bunch of time. Oh my gosh, your throat gets so dry. And hydration is going to be important regardless. Make sure that you're keeping in a healthy, safe situation. Make sure that you are hydrating through your class. And on that note, make sure your students are hydrating. Everybody, take a drink if you have it right now. Do the thing. Hydration. Right, if you're drinking throughout the class and you're going, oh my gosh, it's really hot out today. This has been a whole lot. And you're noticing none of your students are drinking. Get on them. Make sure there is somebody bringing water for your students. Make sure you have that available to them. If you're doing a whole like demo thing and no one brought water and everyone's doing high cardio stuff or whatever the situation might be, plan that, prep that area, make sure that there is, right, if you're doing something where it's even possible that, you know, somebody might get injured, make sure that there's a medicrat that is aware that you are teaching that class, if not being present or within a short distance from the place that you're doing so. That is part of prepping your location. So yeah, that. Also, if you're doing stuff live, you're probably going to be able to set up your own table space. Sometimes you might not be able to. That's true. Depending on the setup with the autocrat and whatnot, you want to talk with your sitecrat, your autocrat. Communicate with that. If you are able to move around things, tables and chairs, if you have them, if you need them. Make sure that you aren't just on the fly just doing stuff. If you do move tables and chairs and things like that, make sure that you put them back in the way that they were. Make sure that your site is better than you came in. Make sure you leave it better than you did, so that it's they'll want you to come back and teach again. You don't want a situation where you make an absolute mess, you move everything, you don't tell anyone ahead of time, and all of a sudden now the sitecrat has to come in and change and move everything back and has to do all the sort of work because you mucked around with everything, had no communication, and then just gave them extra work. Please don't do that. Be considerate of the other volunteers that are also being involved with the thing that you're doing. Be mindful. So that is all part of prepping your location. And the last part of this is prepping yourself, right? Going in again, discussing if you have any sort of medical needs, having whatever you need on hand. If you are doing something live, have a little bag that has all of your stuff in there. Make sure that you have it on hand, so that way you also don't have to go like, oh wow, I haven't breathed, I need to take my inhaler, oh, it's in my purse in my car. Having to up and leave the class and stopping everything to go grab your inhaler because it was humid that day, or you know, you're exerting yourself. That's gonna be a huge disruption. Don't put yourself in a situation that you can't immediately just get medical aid when needed. So again, right, if you're doing an online thing, have stuff right within reach. You don't have to have it shown on camera, right? Make sure you're aware of that viewpoint. You can see what is in frame. Have the control of where things are around you, right? Either if you have a little table things you can set up here, or if you're on like a couch or something, right? Again, you can have things that are right within your reach without them being in shot. I have like a whole bunch of things right here, but you cannot see them, so they're not distracting, they're not affecting that shot. Okay, other than that, right, again, physically, make sure that you're getting plenty of rest, that you're hydrating, that you're eating. I know that might seem really basic, but when you are focused on a class and you're super hyped and excited, or super nervous and stressed out and you're panicking going, oh gosh, I'm gonna forget everything, what if I just mess up terribly, what if no one shows up, what if no one cares and everyone leaves halfway through, there are definitely things you're just gonna be worrying about getting in your own head. Make sure that, you know, the last thing that's added to that stress is you passing out because you didn't eat or drink that day, or you didn't get enough sleep and you're falling asleep during your own class. Make sure that you are going to be in a good physical situation, especially if you're doing this at an event where, you know, you're sleeping in a tent or your car or wherever, and you can't guarantee the best sleep. Give yourself the best chances as you can. Make sure that you're going to bed at a good time. You're making the attempt at least, and you're keeping hydrated. You're eating. And also, for those that are old enough and partake, do not get sloshed the night before. You don't want to wake up with a hangover. I'm assuming... I'll be honest, I've never had one before, but I'm told that they're dreadful. I've seen folks that look rather dreadful in the morning when it appears they have one. That's not going to be a good situation to then teach a class, so avoid that if possible. Be responsible. Understand that there's a level of professionalism that goes with teaching. Make sure that you show up and you are appropriate. That you are not drunk for your class or recovering from being drunk during your class. If you are old enough and you partake. I am old enough, certainly, but I do not partake. So that's physical stuff. Mental stuff. Understand the stress level that goes along with these things. Make sure that you are mentally prepared. If you are talking in front of a crowd, right, know that the adrenaline is going to kick and you're going to start talking really, really fast. If your class is particularly long, you're going to be sore and achy by the end. Have a plan and prep for what you're going to do after and how you're going to deal with that. Prepare as much as possible, practice, test stuff ahead of time to relieve as much stress as possible. The more you are prepared, the less stress that will be on you. You'll know your stuff, your plan will be there, everything will be set up and pre-tested, so you won't have to worry about this or that. It will reduce the stress immensely the more that you prepare, the more that you plan, and the more that you go in knowing what can go wrong, but also have things set up to take care of the possibilities of what can go wrong so that you're not panicked and freaking out when those moments do happen, because they do happen. They literally happen during this class. Stuff just happens. And that's okay. That's life. That's the excitement of life, is the unpredictability of it. So do not dread it, embrace it, and adapt and survive. Good stuff. Okay, so again, if there are any questions at this point, who, what, when, where, how, this is the time. All I have left is some tips, some do's and don'ts. So this is the time to go in and ask those questions. Then I'll just open up generically for any questions you may have. If you need to brainstorm some ideas, if you have any specific issues that you have, or worries or concerns, if you haven't taught before, or are still new to the process that you want to go over, again, I'm going to open up just this block of time for any sorts of questions at all. Again, if you have any questions so far on anything that we've covered, please, please, please tag me, send me that message, and I will make sure to answer those questions. I figure I could probably go into tips at this point as we're waiting for any of those questions if they do come up. Other than that, I'm going to take another drink. Oh, here's a question. Someone who has taught a lot of lessons, do you still get nervous before you teach? So nervous. Poor Tyler. I'm a wreck before classes. That's my secret. I'm a mess. I'm just super worried. I've been doing this for so many years now. There is never a class where I'm not worried, that I don't stress out and get nervous. Always get butterflies. There's really as much as you prep and plan and put those safeguards up, again, there's so many things that are unpredictable, including just your health, right? My health in particular, right? With the stuff that I have can be very unpredictable and can very much sideline things. I once taught a wood burning class where I had a paralytic attack in the middle of the class. Like, of all things to happen, I didn't stop the class. It kept on going. It was probably like the smoothest, chillest thing I've ever done. And personally felt like a badass. Then I was just like, I'm literally paralyzed and can't move, but I am teaching other people how to wood burn and never stopped. I felt that it was happening. I got into a safe position because I didn't have a burner on myself. And every rate, I have lots of safety things all prepped up when I'm doing any sort of the danger crafts, like wood burning, super danger craft. Right, I had my reclining wheelchair there. I was able to get into it and recline and get into a good physical position that I knew that I was gonna go limp into, and I did. And I just kept talking. I knew that class like the back of my hand. I didn't need anything like, again, it's such a kinetic class, and that's really where my strengths are in kinetic. So I didn't miss a beat. I just really calmly explained to my students what was happening, told them what I was doing as I was doing it, and told them that we will continue. We're just going to keep on going. Okay, what you're doing there is great. Now make sure that you're going to have the specific tilts when you want to, right? Like, I just kept going. I just kept going, and I finished the class, and it went really well. But that kind of stuff happens. You never know what's going to happen. And life is completely unpredictable. So yes, I get super, super nervous. And there's other things also that you're not going to be able to control either. And knowing that you're going to get into a situation where you're not going to be able to control things. Like no one showing up to your class. That's a thing that can happen. I have been extremely fortunate, and that hasn't happened to me yet. Oh my gosh, knock on wood. I don't want to jinx myself. But yeah, like I can tell you that it's a fear. It's definitely a fear and a dread that you will, spend 2 weeks prepping this class and then no one will show up to the class. I'm really fortunate to be, I can see how many viewers there are on the thing. So it's always, very comforting to know that I'm not speaking to nothing. I have a very hard time, as it is just talking in front of a camera instead of people. It's very much, a weird, uncomfortable thing for me, and I think that's also a giant thing for my nerves is as having to do stuff on video. I do a lot better when I can see my students. I can read the body language. I can tell if somebody's following with me, if they're still interested or getting bored. I can adapt and be flexible and move and go from thing to thing. But if I can't see or hear my students, I have no gauge whatsoever for that. And yeah, that makes me very, very nervous. And that's all those things are going through my head before I start. So yes, absolutely 14 years in this game. So many years of university. Yeah, I've never not been nervous before a class. But prepping and planning absolutely makes it as manageable as possible. So, yeah, that. Again, if there are any more questions, please go for it. I'm going to go into the don'ts, and then end on the do's, because positivity is important, and you don't want to end on a down note. So we're going to cover the don'ts first. So, too many cooks. Okay, so, this is the uncomfortable, touchy subject. Teaching with partners. Be cautious. Make sure that if you are teaching with another person, that you have a very good communication, that you have a very solid plan, that you know what they're covering, what you're covering. That you're not going to, that they're not going to hog all of the time, have an hour block, and give you 5 minutes to teach your entire class. That has happened to me before. It's very uncomfortable when you have a teaching partner that dominates and takes control of your class, especially if you invited them there, and then they don't let you speak or participate in your own class. That has happened to me in live classes before, and it's very uncomfortable, and it's a very negative, horrible experience. So make sure that you are picking folks that you know aren't going to do that to you. Pick folks that you can trust, that you can communicate with, that you can talk with beforehand, have a solid plan, that you know how you're going to divide the time, whether you're just going to go straight up half and half, where they have half of the section, you have the other half, and if they stop on that point, regardless if they are done or not, and that you have the rest of that time slot, that they are not encroaching on your time, they are not taking your time slot in there, or if you're doing a back and forth where they'll cover a little blurb of a thing, ask if you have any tidbits to add, and then you do a thing, and then ask if they have any tidbits to add, and leapfrog. I personally find that method works pretty good for that sort of tag team teaching approach. That way also that you're not just sitting there for half an hour to an hour, just going, yep, I'm one of the teachers of this class and I haven't said a word for 45 minutes at this point, right? Like, it can be just, it can be a good dynamic to have your partner and be able to riff off each other, to have a good rapport, have synergy and that kind of thing. Having a partner in teaching can be a good and fun and positive experience, but it can also be really terrible if you don't have the right partner, if your partner doesn't take it as seriously as you, if they wing it, if they do not have a plan, if you go and you prep all of your things and they don't prep their things, if they go and they cover all the things that you were going to cover, it can go bad. Understand that it's a toss-up and that it can go bad. Take that with a grain of salt, go in with that knowledge, and roll your dice. Figure out if that's a thing that you want to do. It's dealer's choice. It's definitely dealer's choice, and it's a preference thing. I've been in so many circumstances where I was forced to teach with others, and in all of the circumstances where I was forced to do so, I hated it, and almost never went back to those events to teach, because they basically just went like, yeah, so we didn't know who to ask, so we asked literally all the people that did this thing, and no one talked to me at all, and I couldn't get them to contact me, and then they just bogarted the whole entire thing, and it was just a really dreadful experience. So I do prefer teaching alone. I like to have control over the time, the topics, my environment. I like to know that I'm not going to have conflicting opinions with whoever is there with me, that there won't be that awkwardness, that I won't be competing for time, for space, for other things. Yeah, I've just had too many bad experiences of other people just like controlling me and controlling my space, and putting me in situations that I was uncomfortable with, that I do not prefer to be in those situations. So that's definitely a thing that do not enjoy doing. I do not prefer. But I've had some experiences where it was a blast having others and being able to talk with folks, and a lot of those were the ones where I invited specific people to teach with me. Having really great partners that you enjoy talking with can be just a blast, an absolute blast. And I've been really blessed with some really fantastic partners in teaching, and being able to riff off each other and go back and forth is an absolute pleasure. So for those circumstances, yeah, fantastic. But in other things, I personally prefer to teach alone when I'm able to do so. Yeah, so that's the thing. Important things to know. Tangents. Literally what I just did. Be cautious of them. Make sure that you're not derailing your class entirely. If you are going on an example or a story, make sure that it's relevant. Be sure that you're focusing and getting back to the topic that you're getting back in. If you go deviate too much, the whole thing will just become a rambly mess. So be cautious of them. You don't have to go, okay, we're doing this, next we're doing this, okay, next we're doing this, next we're doing this. You can go on some little example things here and there, but just be cautious of it. Just keep it in mind. Saying a bunch. It is something I struggle with, absolutely, to this day. Still a problem. Something to try to keep in mind to help you with that is, instead of going to go to silence. Just take that beat. When you have that urge to say right, just have silence. It's something that takes a lot of focus and a lot of practice. It can be a thing that you can do with more time and experience. Understand you're probably gonna say a lot. It's okay. It's uncomfortable. I honestly hate looking back at my videos and checking things and seeing how many times I say it gets really under my skin. So I'm sure it's super annoying for you guys when I say so I apologize for that. It's just a thing I go to, and it's a lot of just self-conscious. I don't realize I'm doing it until I become hyper aware of me doing it. So try to avoid it if you can. Try to do alternates. Maybe sounds even then we're doing the thing. Who knows? Whatever works for you, just know that that's a thing. If you can avoid it, awesome. Don't get yourself too down on that either. Guessing. Right, again, what we talked about before. Don't guess. Don't ever guess. If you don't know something, that's okay. You are not omnipotent. You're not supposed to know everything. You're supposed to have as much information and knowledge and experience that you can offer. You should know what you're talking about. You should definitely be prepared, and it be in your wheelhouse and be something that you can speak to. But there's going to be some times where you're going to get questions that you do not know the answers to, and that's okay. Just do not ever guess. Ever. Again, it's that trust. Your students are trusting that what you're telling them is the truth, that it is good advice, that it will not be detrimental to them, that it is going to be helpful in some regard. If you guess, you can jeopardize all of that. The trust, you can create even dangerous scenarios if given bad advice. Again, right, muscle memory and stuff like that. If I teach an archery class and I tell them some sort of physical position wrong, they can pull muscles, tear things. 100% bow bite, right? Where the bowstring is slapping your arm and giving you that giant 4-inch minimum bruise on your arm. Right? I have to know my stuff. If I'm teaching, I have to know my stuff. I have to be experienced. I have to be prepared, and I can't give them stuff that could be detrimental, dangerous, misguided, anything of that line. No guessing. I'm not going to tell them something. If I don't know, I'm going to tell them I don't know. I'm going to tell them that I will look it up if I can. I'll try to find it if I can and get back to them. or I'll try to find somebody that can answer it for them. But I'm not going to guess, and I'm going to tell them that I don't know. So, no guessing. Procrastination. Do not procrastinate. Oh my gosh. Talk about being nervous before a lesson. If you procrastinate, you are going to be a wreck. Your class is also most likely going to be a mess. You're gonna not know how to fill the time. It's gonna be a disorganized mess. It's so much bad can go wrong when procrastinating. Give yourself the tools to succeed. Give your students the best situation, the best experience that they can have. All of that is done with preparation. Yeah, I think it's the biggest one. That's the biggest one that I find is procrastination. A lot of people will wait till last minute to prepare their class, to get their notes together. Right. When I started doing this, I'd choose what I was wearing way too late. I would try to get like, okay, weird thing. Doing my hair like this takes about half an hour. It's a whole entire thing, and I actually do it the night before, and then I wrap my hair up in like a wig cap, so that it doesn't come out of the braids and get all like bedhead while I'm sleeping. So I do all of this the night before. I also paint my nails, and whatever I'm doing with those, right? Like, I have all those random, like, the tips and stuff. I do those before. I don't want to come on and have chipped nails and all sorts of just, right? Again, I want to look professional. I want to take this seriously. I cannot expect my students to take me seriously if I don't take me seriously. So, I do make a conscious effort of my set dress, how I'm setting up my space, how I am dressing, what I'm wearing, the amount of time it takes to get up into all of this, right? I wear glasses normally. I have to deal with contacts. Don't normally just wear makeup every day kind of thing. Everything I'm wearing is layers. It's a whole bunch of things that I am wearing all up in the everything. And, right, the nails, the hair, everything. It takes time, and making sure that I am waking up with ample amount of time. For those that know me, I am an extreme night owl. I do not go to bed before 5:30 in the morning. Because I need to talk to my graham cracker at 5:30 in the morning to wish her a good day, and she tells me to have a good night and sleep well. So I talk with her every single morning, but she wakes up at 5:30 in the morning, which means I have to stay up till 5:30 in the morning to do so. So I'm usually waking up very, very late. So I need to make sure that I'm waking up with ample amount of time for me to get dressed, have all my notes, get all of the set dress. Again, right, this is not normally how my couch works. I have an ottoman here normally. I need to be able to prep for this if I procrastinate and I leave everything to the day of or right before the class. I'm a nervous wreck. I could end up being late for my own class, which would be dreadful. I have to be able to prep for this. So yeah, don't procrastinate. Reading. This was the thing that I was talking about before. If you are so scared and have to literally read your entire thing, and you're not looking up and you are freaking out and you're just staying glued to that paper, that's really hard to connect with your students. It shows that you don't have confidence in what you're doing, that you don't know it instinctively, that you have to read word for word. It does cover, it helps with the auditory, but otherwise you might as well be doing just sending them the actual written thing instead of presenting it to them. Part of teaching in this manner is having an interaction and being able to respond to your students, to be able to answer questions, to when in person actually read their body language, see if they're uncomfortable with what you're saying, if they are not following with what you're saying, if they're raising their hand and have questions, or you can tell that they have a question but they don't really want to be the one to, right? Which I'm going to go over in the do's. It's going to be really bad if you can't look up at them because you're just glued to your piece of paper. It's also big distracting, and it's, you know, hiding yourself behind it. So try to have like note cards or some sort of thing so that you don't have to be glued to your paper. So again, if that's what you need to teach, you do you. Do what will be best for you. But if you are able to understand the downsides to having something that you got to be stuck to like that. Winging it. Please do not make up your class on the spot. Please do not go in and have no plan, no structure. It shows a huge lack of professionalism. It's not taking the class serious. You're gonna be all over the place with time. There's so much bad that goes with just winging it. Take your students seriously. Take your class seriously. If you're winging it, then you are showing that you do not have the time, the dedication, the care for your own material. Why would you expect your students to if you can't, right? So make sure that you have a plan, that you're going in there, and you know what you're going to be talking about, you know what you're doing, and you're not just gonna walk into a place and be like, the topic's what? This? Yeah, right. Do this, I guess. Please don't. And unprofessionalism. Again, right? That's gonna fit into that unprofessionalism. Oh gosh, do I have this on the other one? I do have this. I have this on the do, so I'm not gonna go into that. I'm going to go the more positive route on the positive attitude stuff. But again, don't show up to your class in boxers and you know, a t-shirt that's got, you know, pit stains and holes all over the place, not washed up, and your hair's all like, literally you just rolled out of bed and went, okay, what are we doing today? We're doing a class or whatever, right? Showing up drunk and who knows what, right? You are in a position where you're asking for a lot of trust. Folks are taking their time out to attend your class. Be respectful of their time and their willingness to listen to you, the opportunity to be able to teach for them. Don't take any of that for granted. Take it seriously. Put into it as much as you can, and be professional as possible. Okay, those are the don'ts. So, no more of that negative blurkness. News. Positive. Let's go positive. Again, so this is my last slide. Once I am done with these things, the lecture portion of this will be over. If you have any questions up until this point, or if you don't see it on this slide right here, most likely won't be covered. So again, with that 20-second delay, go ahead right now and start putting in those questions. We will be opening that Q&A for anyone that needs it. So again, go for it. Go for the typing thing. So we are closing stuff up on that lecture section. If anyone needs that Q&A, we'll do that. If no one does, then we'll close it at the slide. Yeah, so let's get into it. I'm gonna take a quick swig. Okay. Fantastic, let's do this. Whoop whoop. Okay, dues. Recording. This is such a cool thing that we can record our classes. There's so many things that do record, which is super, super neat. Why? Okay, so the benefit of this is that not everyone's going to be able to come at the day and time that you're doing the thing. They might be interested and could benefit from your class, but mundania. They are not able to show up at that place and time. If you have it recorded, that means that those folks are going to get the opportunity to see it. A lot of my classes, because the cool thing too, right, with Twitch is I can see how many views I have, how many people actually watch these after the date. Not only during, right, I can see how many viewers we have right now, but, right, it does actually mark how many views folks do in the future, and I get a lot more views in the future. So it's also one of the reasons why I don't restrict myself to the time, because the majority of folks that are coming and to watch these are doing so on their own time, so they can take as long as they like to get through it. And I am giving all the knowledge and information that I got. I don't have to cut out information. I don't have to hold anything back. I'm able to just go, this is literally everything I know about this. Here. However much of that is useful to you, cool. But I don't want to hold back and not give you something that I've got. So that's one of the huge benefits of recording, right? You can come in and do this in sections. You can split it up between multiple days if needed. But the big thing is this is going to be helpful to folks in the future that need this. There's going to be folks that aren't going to need your class at the time that you're doing the class, but will need it in the future. If you are teaching an advanced class on your class and somebody is a beginner, that class is not going to be useful to them right then and there. But a year down the line, they might go, wow, I wish I had some sort of advanced class to help me with this thing. No one's teaching this class right now, right? Going back and being able to see these. Also, for those of us that teach a whole bunch, we usually have specific classes that are the backed by popular demand kind of classes, where because a lot of them are live, only folks that are there at the time get to actually see those classes and or for a lot of things that I do that are super kinetic, to be a part of those experiences and do those classes. If you're not there at that day and time at that event, if there's something else happening at that event, or if you're a crat and you physically can't come and attend the thing because you're doing something else where still volunteering for that event, all of a sudden those folks can't ever be at those events, those classes that you're teaching. So they might be your biggest thing, that the thing that you know best, and might be a thing that really no one else teaches. I have a bunch of those that are like very particular classes that I don't see often at all, that are things that are particularly like my fortes in teaching. And I will just get asked from multiple parks and a lot of different events that will ask for me to teach that class a bunch. But there's going to be folks that are going to be able to attend those classes, and being able to have it on, to be recorded, means that I don't have to only ever do that, that one or, few classes that I do. It means that folks from other kingdoms, folks that, for accessibility reasons can't make it out to events, they can have a chance to see those. And you know, God forbid anything happen to myself or to you as a teacher, where you're not around to teach those classes anymore. These videos will still be around and can be used, and you can still reach out and be able to help those even when you're no longer here. Sorry, really rough thing. Super honest. That's actually a big thing for why I got into these. Why I started Admiral's Academia. I had a bit of a health scare in the spring, and for teaching is such a huge passion of mine, and something I love doing, and has been a huge part of my service to the game. And I realized a lot of my things, if you weren't there at the time, then it's gone forever, and that's it. And I wanted to leave something behind in case things ended badly for me. And this is how I wanted to do it. I wanted to have a record of all of my teachings, all of my classes, all of the things that I can pass on. This is the closest thing I'm ever going to have to a legacy. So I wanted to be able to have these recordings, to be able to have these in the times that people needed them, and for them to be accessible for those that needed them in the future. So much more information than you probably ever wanted to know. But, you know, it's a thing that folks are going to face. And even for folks that are, you know, looking at retirement, and still want to be able to pass on something to the future generations, having these recordings, being able to pass on that knowledge, it's a good thing to leave behind. Dudes, preparation, right? I was saying it a million times. Preparation is key. Make sure that you have a plan, that everything is prepped, that you know what you're doing, you know what you're talking about. You want to make sure that you are all set, and that you're gonna set yourself up for success and give your students the best class that you can give. So preparation, always. Time management. If you are in a block of time, being able to fit into that block of time is going to be super important. Again, there's going to be so many circumstances where you're going to lose like half of your class, if not more, that you plan. You'll plan this whole entire giant block, and the time goes by so quickly. You never expect to go as long as you do. You never expect to have as little time as you do, and these things do just... time flies during these, and it can be rough. Also, sort of a tip to assist with that time management: make sure that you can always see a clock. If you have a cutoff time, like a hard thing, it's going to be really important that you can actually see the time. If you cannot, then there is no way that you're going to fit that block. You will definitely go over, especially if you are in a set schedule, then you're going to be dipping into someone else's time, and that's not fair to them. So be kind and courteous of the other folks that are around you, that are affected by you. Make sure that if you are restricted by time, that you are managing it and being conscious of it. Also, for again, make sure that you are on time. You can't expect your students to show up on time if you can't show up on time. All right, again, I'm always here. I prep for this class 2 hours beforehand, and I'm usually sitting here for about half an hour before I start. and I'll be here ready to go, but right, the stream will be going, but I won't be on camera yet because I will wait for a few folks at least to be on, because again, I don't want to start if no one is here at all, and because I can see the amount of viewers, right? That's the only time, the only reason why I don't start at that 8 o'clock mark is not because I'm not on time, not because I'm not ready to go, but it's because I'm waiting for students to show up. So the unfortunate thing of AmCard Standard Time, it still exists even when the rest of the world is shut down, and yeah, it's still a thing. So make sure that you are at least on time and you're prepared and ready to go. You cannot expect it of others if you cannot do so yourself. So, okay, reading body language. This is the big thing. This is probably my biggest forte with teaching, and the fact that I can't do it online is really rough. This is also why I really, really, really love doing classes live, and why also I'm a super, kinetic teacher. I really like to do things where you're physically doing the thing, you're involved, because again, as somebody with an LD, kinetic is my the way I learn best. So it's easiest for me to teach because that's how I understand information. So being able to express that information in the same way is a lot easier for me to do. So big thing, well, when you're doing it live and you actually have body language to read, make sure that you are looking around and you're actually keeping track, right? Look at all of your students. Don't ignore them. Don't just look at the same person or at no one. Actually make sure that your eye is moving and you actually end up looking, right? Kind of do this strafing thing where you're going back and forth as you're going, so you can actually see and make sure that you're following stuff. We communicate through our body language so much more than folks realize. We have a lot of there are bigger things that we show, but there's also more subtle things that we show, like micro expressions. There's a thing where if somebody right, smaller, right? I'm very big with my expressions, so you can probably really see what I'm doing. But yeah, sometimes it'll be very, very minute, small things. A lot of looking like here, here, and here. Right, the smaller bits, corners of things, can say a lot. You can see when somebody feels uncomfortable. You can see, oh gosh. And then the bigger body language is gonna be things like if somebody's nervous or anxious, right? Rocking is gonna be a thing. What they're doing with, right? Their body language, how they're sitting, how they're standing, how they're presenting, how they're sitting in their chair. Right. You can read a lot of stuff from just them sitting there and watch them watch you. It's a weird sort of thing. But basically, make sure that look for anxious movements. Might be just stimming. You'll see this with certain disorders and certain things like autism, LDs. A lot of times you'll see sort of stimming things. They might need something in their hands to play with, something to, some sort of stimulus, something to, just listening can be overwhelming at times. we end up getting a lot of other sounds and being in classes and things like that where you're dealing with language things, and it can be overwhelming. It can be uncomfortable. All right, a pro tip. I'm not listening to anything. There's no one on these. They're noise canceling. That's why I wear them during the class. I have no other reason to wear them. I'm not working with a partner where I need to be able to hear their voice. There's no music. There's no one I'm communicating with. They're just noise canceling. I have a fan. I can hear the clock. I can hear things that are happening outside. Even just, my cat running around. I can even hear, at times, the wild Wunjo across the apartment. And our two bunnies that are on the other side of the apartment. I can hear a lot of things, and processing all of that can be very distracting. It can be overwhelming. So I wear these for noise canceling, just to shut out sound. So right, I have NLD. It's interesting how many of us end up becoming teachers when our learning experiences were so terrible. We understand and can appreciate different learning styles, can be very patient with others, and know what to look for, know when folks are struggling, being able to read those body language, those little tics, the repeated behaviors. You can see discomfort, you can see anxious, you can see if they're not following, if they're losing focus, if folks that have things can see those things in others really well because we're aware of them. A lot of folks that are neurodivergent, we know what to look for. Other folks that are going to be teaching aren't going to know that those are things. They're not going to know VARC. They're not going to know that somebody like me is not going to do well if you put words in front of me in text. They're not going to know that that's probably the worst way to teach me a thing. If not, I'm not going to learn the thing even, because of how many times I have to reread it, how I have to use a reader that reads things to me, because of what actually happens to me when I'm actually reading, and how my brain processes what I see. It's not just reading words. I'm literally seeing. I see too much. This is my problem. Is I can see and grab so much information that I pull in too much and then have to sort. So I see everything in a blink, and it's too much. And then I go, okay, so how much of this is actually important? And the time that it takes me to go, okay, blah, 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 all that's super distracting, and I don't need any of that. Okay, that's the important thing. I process too much too quickly, and I can't sort it. So that's what happens for reading, and that's really common for a lot of us that are neurodivergent. But sometimes it's going to be auditory is going to be their thing that they can't handle. It's a roll of the dice what your students are going to be able to handle. But again, body language. Watch them. You can see just social cues. You can see when somebody's uncomfortable. You can see if they're bored. You can see all of those things if you know what to look for and you are actually looking for it. So it's important that you can see what's happening with your students, and you can adapt on the fly, and right, again, if you're prepared, if you know your stuff, you have a plan, you can hone on those things. You can go into more detail about certain things if you can tell that they're really engaged in it, they're interested or curious, and all of a sudden you just, okay, so next topic, right? They're like, I wanted more on that one. Like, right? You won't know if you're not looking. Which makes these online classes so difficult. Not being able to see you guys is really, really rough for me. That's my only gauge. It's really hard. Yeah, no, it's do my best and just put out as much as I can and hope that something's useful here. But yeah, so again, just watch, folks. Just watch, folks. And adapt, right? Other than that, right? And I'm gonna skip attitude for 2 seconds, but it also fits into accessibility. Understand that you're going to have folks that are neurodivergent. You're going to have folks that have LDs, autism, all sorts of things. Could be anywhere on the spectrum, amongst other mental or physical disorders. If you have a class and there are stairs to get to the place that you're teaching, and you have somebody in a wheelchair, they're not going to attend your class. They're not going to get to attend your class. Keep that in mind. Accessibility is a huge thing that is readily ignored in our game, most regrettably. There are times where I am stuck in my wheelchair and I'll be at events and it'll just be like, oh, there's one event that I teach at that because of my surgery schedule, I'm usually in my wheelchair at that time for that month, and it has stairs, and I literally have to have somebody lift my wheelchair up the stairs, and then I have to use a cane and limp my way up the stairs to get into my wheelchair, to then sit in my wheelchair and teach a class for 2 hours, right? Like, if you are having somebody teach at your event and it is not even accessible for the teacher to get to the location to be able to teach at that event, then their students aren't going to have the accessibility to attend the event that they cannot physically even attend themselves. Keep that in mind, folks. It's a crazy thing that drives me nuts. Please be accessible to your teachers, as well as your students. Don't make people in wheelchairs have to go upstairs. It seems like a no-brainer thing, but I can't tell you how many times this happens to me. There's so many events I teach at where I am required to use stairs. Sucks. So if you're the organizer, please be mindful of that. If you're teaching and you have control over that, be mindful of that. Giant pet peeve. Okay. And we'll go back. Attitude. Being approachable, being having a good attitude, right? If you're just, right, I get salty and disgruntled and talk about things that are negative for me, but I do also try to get it back up into that good positive zone. I hope that I'm approachable. It's important for you to be able to be in a situation where folks are okay to engage with you, that again, there's already that level of trust where it's hard trusting others, especially strangers. Goodness. They are already coming in in a vulnerable situation where they have to trust your word, but then to actually ask you questions, it goes into a next level of uncomfortableness because folks will be worried about being judged for their questions. They might be embarrassed to ask. They might feel that like they don't want the rest of the folks knowing that they don't know a thing, or think that their question is stupid. No, there are no stupid questions. Goodness. That's the biggest thing. Just, I really hate when folks are worried that their question is stupid, or silly, or not relevant, or not valued, or anything like that. It's super important that folks are able to ask questions, that you are opening and inviting for folks to do so, that you are encouraging, that you are supportive, that you're not going to judge them no matter, even if it seems like something that is intuitive or something that is obvious. Folks learn and process information in different ways, and not knowing a thing, there's gonna be stuff that you don't know. There's stuff I don't know. Like, just because I'm teaching doesn't mean I know everything there is to know. There's always going to be more to learn. Always. Even if, I think it's interesting that we have a thing called, masterhoods. There is no cap. There is no thing where a master just stops learning, they stop growing, they stop trying or experimenting. We are constantly learning and adapting and growing. There is you're only going to get in a rut if you stop asking questions. You're only going to get a rut if you're afraid to ask questions. You're afraid to reach out. The only way that we grow and learn and improve and just progress is by having that vulnerability and that willingness to ask those questions, to go out and go, do you know what? I don't know this. I'm curious about this and I want to learn about this. I want tips and advice. I'm stuck on this. I want to know this. I'm going to tell you right now, teachers love questions. Love questions. They want to have a point and purpose and be useful. And if no one has any questions, we're kind of stuck here, right? What are we doing if we're not giving information, if we're not helping? So definitely always ask questions. Always be, as a teacher, willing and approachable, and be positive and encouraging and supportive, having that good attitude, and being able to be approached and questioned. Good stuff. Okay. We already went over accessibility. Again, we're down to our last two. If you got any questions, we're going into questions. Anything you have a question on so far? Again, also, if you have any particular things that, anything that's difficult for you, anything that you would like, tips, advice, strategies, things that you're looking to improve on for the future, or get alternate ideas of how to do a thing, if I can answer those, I'm absolutely going to. So feel free, again, tag me, throw in those questions wherever you got them. This is the time. Also, if you haven't signed in yet, you can get a credit for this class. Please go to the Kingdom of the Nine Blades. Use the amped bot that we have there. So if you're from another kingdom and use the amped bot, you can use the same exact login thing. That it does cover all kingdoms. Because Ken is amazing and is is a wizard of sorts. So make sure you're signing in, getting that credit for today. Gosh, if you're still here, you've earned this. You have earned your credit. Well done. It's amazing that you're still here. I could folks still here. This is incredible. Thank you so much for sticking this long. So here are the last couple of things before, if anyone's got questions, awesome. If not, I'm gonna wrap up. Boundaries. Okay, this is important. And this is something that took me a very long time to understand and start actually doing in my own life. So this is definitely important thing, and especially for self-care. Set boundaries with organizers. If you're not the organizer, if you do not feel comfortable with the amount of time that you have, talk with them. If you are not comfortable in the space that you are expected to teach in, talk with them. If you are uncomfortable with any scenario that you are being put into that you do not have control over, that you can have control over, that you would like to have control over, you have to advocate for yourself. You have to set those boundaries. If you get into this where you're teaching a whole bunch, you will get asked to teach a bunch, a whole bunch more. Boundaries. Know when to say no, and it's okay to say no. I never thought I would ever get into a scenario in my AMP career where I was getting asked to teach too much. This is the weirdest thing for me right now, because I do this so much. I've been asked a whole lot to teach, and by multiple kingdoms, and I am doing as much as I can and as much as I can handle, both mentally and physically. It's mostly because of physically. I've moved from doing these weekly to bi-weekly, again, for my health, for my sanity. I am also Queen of the Nine Blades right now, so I have a lot of work and duties on top of doing this. So being able to give the amount of time for the preparation of these classes, and how much it takes to put into them, not only just for prep, but physically to actually do them. It's a lot, and a lot more than folks realize. So there's a point to where you need to say no at times, and you have to set those boundaries. And it's extremely important that you are able to advocate for yourself and to communicate and let folks know what you can and cannot handle, and how much of it you can and cannot handle. So boundaries, super important. This also comes into boundaries with your students. They might ask you to do things or provide things that you're uncomfortable with or not okay with. There's so many different scenarios, and I've been in random things where folks wouldn't listen to my class and would like misuse a tool or damage my property because they just rushed ahead and just grabbed it and started doing stuff. Right, setting that boundary of, you're going through a safety lesson before you're physically handing out a thing, and if you do not agree to the safety things and how these things are being used, you're not going to hand those things over. Stuff like that, that's a thing that happens. I literally, the class that I ended up in a paralytic thing for, I had a student where they just started stabbing the wood with their wood burner. Nope. Luckily that happened when I was not paralytic, so I was able to quickly get that situation under hand. Luckily, the burner wasn't on at that point because I go through safety lessons before I give them access to dangerous things. So yeah, that was just right off the bat. It's like, no, we're not touching these things. We are going through the safety lesson. Please do not misuse. These are my actual wood burners. They belong to me, that I have paid for, that I brought here for you to borrow and learn from. Please learn how to use them before you just grab them and start doing things with them. Boundaries. Yeah, just communicate, advocate, make sure that you are in a situation that you are comfortable with, that no one is putting you in a situation that you are uncomfortable with. Gotta set those boundaries. Okay, and this is the last one. Have fun and relax. Do it because you love it. Enjoy it. It can be stressful and exhausting and a lot, but it's worth it, and it's a great thing to be able to do stuff, to reach out, to be able to help others, to impact other people's lives, their careers in this game, and to be helpful and useful in what you're doing. It is an amazing feeling. Enjoy it. Have fun with it. If these things are like horrible experiences for you, extremely stressful, anxiety-ridden things that you do not enjoy at all, that's a red flag. You don't ever have to do these. You don't ever have to teach. If you're in those types of situations, boundaries. Don't do something that you do not enjoy, that makes you miserable. Don't put yourself in that. So do it because you love it. Do it because you enjoy it. If you do so, keep doing it. You've got this. You're doing great. Keep going. Just don't get in your own head. Don't trick yourself. Don't listen to that anxiety brain. Don't let you spiral out and make you feel bad about yourself, because you're gonna be your own worst enemy. And just listen to the outpouring of support and positivity that your students give, because it's pretty remarkable, and it's an amazing feeling. So enjoy that, embrace it, and keep doing it. And yeah, have fun and relax. Just don't take it so seriously that you're that you can't breathe in it, like that you're just this anxious ball of just the whole time. That's not good for your health, or your sanity for that matter. So just enjoy it. Take your time. Set those boundaries. Do it in a scenario, in a situation that you're comfortable with, that you enjoy. And you just be unapologetically you. You do you. Okay. That's it. That's everything I got. Those are all my slides. That's all my info. So I'm going to open it up now. If anyone has any questions, if there's any advice or tips or scenarios that folks would like any advice on, any questions at all, this is the time. Q&A. Totally open. There are no stupid questions. There are no foolish questions. Lay it on me. If you got it, go for it. Other than that, I'm going to quickly just check through chat, make sure that I haven't missed any questions that might be here. But other than that, I've been doing this for quite some time now. I could understand if we are good. Again, just double checking. Doop, doop, doop. Reading words. Doop, doop, doop. Okay, fantastic. yeah. Again, last call for questions. Other than that, we'll wrap up and close. This has been amazing. You guys are amazing. I can't believe you're still here. Make sure you're signing in for that credit. Oh gosh, so deserved. Again, if you have any questions later on, if especially for folks that are watching this later on, again, I know this is it is usually after these streams that folks are the bulk of my audience, my students are checking these out. So I know that you guys don't get the opportunity to ask questions in the live chat. So feel free to message me at any time. I'm Amy Salvador on Facebook, Admiral and Cash on Discord and Twitch and YouTube. I'm going to be posting my links, my link to my YouTube later on for just general AmpGuard stuff for folks to be able to find that, and on there you'll be able to post questions onto the videos at that point, and I can answer them after and when these are posted. So know that you are not restricted to this block for asking me questions. If I'm able to help you, I will. Yeah. Okay. I think we are good to wrap up then. Fantastic. I super appreciate you all coming here, for sticking with me as long as you have. I super appreciate your time and your energy and your willingness to hear me out and to be here. I hope that something here has been useful to you. And again, I super appreciate you being here. This has been Admiral's Academia, Teaching 101, and I am Admiral and Cash. Or just Admiral? No, most people just call me Admiral. It's fine. Again, thank you so very much for coming, and be well, look out for each other, and have yourself a good evening.